Chapter 826. Mo Chanai had indeed obtained a 7-leaf blood refining lotus recently. Perhaps it was because of the 7-leaf blood refining lotus that he was unable to absorb the power of providence from his bloodline. However, as long as the art of seizing fate was not broken, the power of the 7-leaf blood lotus would be consumed sooner or later. At that time, wouldn't Ma Chenyi be obedient and let him absorb it? Thinking of this, Mo Chenxian suddenly laughed and cut off the connection with Feng Luan. Suddenly cut off, Feng Luan's face turned ugly. But soon, the expression on her face recovered and she sneered. Mo Chenxian was a hidden chess piece that she had arranged in the Empire of Qin. The Empire of Qin was powerful, and the crown prince of the Empire of Qin was born to be the emperor. It was almost unshakable. If Feng Luan wanted to unify the 4 dynasties, she had to do something to him. Therefore, she found Mo Chenxian and helped him fight for the throne with Ma Chenyi in the name of the Heavenly Doctor. Feng Luan used her art of seizing fate on Mo Chenxian and Ma Chenyi, so that Mo Chenxian, who had almost no bloodline power, could constantly absorb Ma Chenyi's dragon-shaped fate to grow. Until now, he was the king of martial arts in the Empire of Qin and could compete with Ma Chenyi, the crown prince. This art of seizing fate was something that Feng Luan could barely do by using her special pupils and the bloodline power of the Great Yong royal family. When she was in Great Yong's imperial family, she had relied on this to suck dry the bloodline power and power of providence of those who had the ability to be her opponents. That was how she had achieved her current status as Great Yong's #1 imperial princess. In the whole Great Yong, except for her, there was no one else with such outstanding ability. Because the bloodline power and the power of providence of those people had all been absorbed by her. Because of this, she became a stunning talent. Now, she was using the same technique to help Mo Chenxian absorb Ma Chenyi's fate and bloodline power. She did not believe that anyone could see through it and break it. After all, even a transcendent sage wouldn't be able to see through it. Of course, if one's strength was far above this, it was very likely that one would be able to see it clearly. For example, Underworld Paragon. Thinking of Yi Qianxian, Feng Luan's heart was filled with an indescribable love and hatred. She hated that this man didn't even look at her. Otherwise, he would definitely discover that he was more suitable for him than the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. She loved this man's peerless handsomeness and shocking strength. The Empire of Qin, this time, I will not let it go. Evil Dr. Ghost Eye, Luo Qingtong, just you wait. Once she controlled the Empire of Qin, she would break through to the saint stage. At that time, she would let everyone know who was the most suitable person to stand beside Ming Zun. Luo Qingtong did not know of Feng Luan's ambition. She was now wholeheartedly refining the bloodline pill in her hand. Great Yong's fate power entered the cauldron, and a rosy glow shot up to the sky. In an instant, a pill was formed. Luo Qingtong held it in her hand and felt the rich medicinal power surging within. There was even a faint dragon-shaped pattern in it, and he immediately smiled. All right. Success. It's time to go back to Great Chu. Luo Qingtong thought of the man in the black field. She didn't know if his anger had completely dissipated. Luo Qingtong really missed Yi Qianxian. Stroking the 9 phoenix ring in her hand, Luo Qingtong smiled wickedly. Maybe it's time to go back and give that man a surprise. Chapter 827. Great Chu, the main city of the Black Field. Yi Qianxian sat on the seat of honor with a cold expression, handling the documents sent from the main city. The low pressure around him was very cold. That woman left for so many days, and she didn't come back. Yi Qianxian's eyes were cold. He thought that after Luo Shaoqi left that day, Luo Qingtong would come back. But he didn't expect that woman to be delayed for so many days, and she didn't come back. With that thought in mind, Yi Qianren's aura grew colder and colder, causing the experts from the Black Domain who were reporting the news from the main city and the other main cities of the Black Domain to feel like crying. The Lord's aura was getting more and more terrifying. They looked at Bei Qing and Feng Yu for help. The two of them stood behind Yi Qianxian like door gods, and turned a blind eye to their gazes. What a joke! Who could cure the Lord's cold aura except for the demonic doctor? Unless the demonic doctor came back immediately and appeared in front of the Lord, they could only accept it obediently. These people were considered good, and they could leave after they finished reporting. The people who followed the Lord were the most miserable, weren't they? Just as the two of them were thinking, they suddenly heard a voice reporting from outside. "My lord, the demonic doctor sent you a gift." "A gift?" Yi Qianren raised his head and looked ahead, only to see two experts from the Black region carrying a huge box as they walked in. "My lord, this is a gift from the demonic doctor. She asked that only you can open it," one of the Black field experts said respectfully. Yi Qianren's eyes narrowed as she looked at the huge box. She didn't know what that woman was doing. Could it be that this was the wedding gift she had prepared for Old Master Luo and Empress Dowager Yan Shi? Could it be that this woman didn't want to come back? Thinking of this, Yi Qianren's brows furrowed tightly. What else did she say? He looked at the two Black field experts who carried the box in. The two of them shook their heads and said, "No. Sir, Evil Doctor only said that he wanted you to open this box personally. He said that it was a special surprise for you." That woman. Yi Qianxian gritted his teeth. It would be a very special surprise if he opened the box and saw a pile of gifts and a note that the woman was not going to come back. With that thought in mind, Yi Qianxian gritted his teeth even harder. That woman. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have let her go. They should have captured him as soon as possible, so that she wouldn't run away without a trace. Yi Qianxian couldn't be blamed for worrying about personal gains and losses. But in this world, Luo Qingtong was the only woman he could not catch no matter how hard he tried. He had a feeling that if he didn't pay attention, the other party would disappear from his life. In the past, Yi Qianxian might not have cared. After all, he did not need another woman in his life. But now, if there was no Luo Qingtong, Yi Qianxian would definitely go crazy. He looked at the huge box and waved his hand, saying, "All of you, leave." Yes. The group of powerhouses from the Dark Domain accepted the order and retreated from the hall. Bei Qing and Feng Yu tactfully left as well. After all, who knew what the evil doctor had given their master? The two of them were really scared of being tricked. What if the master exploded again? With that thought, they ran faster than rabbits. They were afraid that their master would change his mind and call them back. Chapter 828. He raised his hand, swoosh. The lid of the box was suddenly lifted. Then, a figure suddenly rushed out from inside. La la. Yi Qianxian, I'm back. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? Luo Qingtong smiled wickedly and hugged the man's neck tightly. Just like when she was still Luo Xiaoqi, she hung on him and looked at the man with smiling eyes. In the next second, she kissed the man on the lips. Yi Qianren stood in the middle of the hall and looked at the young girl who had rushed out of the box with a sweet smile on her face. His eyes were so cold that it was terrifying. In the next second, he grabbed the girl's shoulders and lifted her up. Then, he kissed her deeply. Luo Qingtong raised her head and endured the man's intense plundering. Her hand circled around Yi Qianxian's back and felt the scorching heat under the man's robe. The smile in her eyes was indescribably charming. It seems that the Lord missed me a lot. After the kiss, Luo Qingtong licked her lips that were almost swollen from the kiss. Her tender red tongue brushed past her snow-white teeth and crimson lips. It was indescribably evil and enchanting. This seductress. Yi Qianxian looked at Luo Qingtong with dark eyes. He suddenly got up and carried the woman in his arms back to the bedroom. However, he had only taken a few steps when he felt a weight in his arms. He looked down and saw Luo Qingtong nestled in his arms. Her head was drooping and leaning on his chest. Her small hands were holding onto his clothes and she was sleeping soundly. This woman. Yi Qianren fiercely gritted her teeth. However, when her gaze landed on the young girl's sweet sleeping face, her gaze softened. Humph. If only you were so obedient. Yi Qianxian snorted. He lowered his head and caressed the girl's pink, petal-like lips for a moment. Then, he strode back to the bedroom with her in his arms. However, the eagerness and passion from before had calmed down. It's good that this woman is back. As for the other matters, there was no hurry. Yi Qianxian didn't want to admit that the moment Luo Qingtong emerged from the box, his heart was violently moved. It was as if a lost treasure had returned to his embrace. This woman had already become an inseparable part of his life. It was just his return, but it already made him so happy that he almost couldn't control himself. However, this woman was completely different from other women. If he wanted to win her heart completely, he couldn't rush it. Luo Qingtong slept soundly. It had been a long time since she had slept so peacefully and without worry. In the past, she would always maintain a certain level of vigilance when she slept. But this time, she really didn't wake up. She completely lost consciousness in Yi Qianxian's arms. Perhaps it was because she subconsciously felt that Yi Qianxian's side was the safest place. No one could hurt her in front of this man. When Luo Qingtong woke up, she didn't know what time it was. The sky outside was slightly dark, so she couldn't tell whether it was evening or early morning. Luo Qingtong woke up with a yawn. She raised her eyes and saw the handsome face of the man beside her. Yi Qianxian's eyes were slightly closed. Under the faint light by the window, his face looked like a god who had fallen to the mortal world. Noble, handsome, otherworldly, exceptional. Chapter 829. However, her face was just close to the man. The latter's tightly shut eyes immediately opened. That pair of eyes that seemed to contain countless swords and blades, incomparably cold and domineering, stared at Luo Qingtong's face. Then, in the next second, those dark sword lights instantly turned into countless flames that were incomparably hot. Bang! Yi Qianxian turned over and got up, pressing Luo Qingtong under his body. Try playing with fire again? The man's voice was indescribably hoarse and deep. Yi Qianxian's eyes were fixed on Luo Qingtong, and there seemed to be countless flames jumping in his eyes. All of the blood-red light and sword qi were burned to ashes. It also turned all his coldness into forbearing passion and heat. This woman really had to be taught a lesson. How much self-control did she think she had to be able to keep her composure in the face of his repeated temptations? Luo Qingtong smiled evilly when she heard this, and was about to say something when she put her arms around the man's neck. At this moment, a voice suddenly came in from outside, and the tone was very anxious. Not good, Lord Evil Doctor, quickly go and take a look. Old Master and Empress Dowager Yan Shi are fighting. Pfft. Suddenly hearing such a sentence, Luo Qingtong almost choked on her own saliva. Grandfather and Empress Dowager Yan Shi? Hadn't their misunderstanding been resolved? How could they fight? Luo Qingtong thought so, and immediately rushed to the Great Chu Imperial Palace. Grandfather. Luo Qingtong rushed to the Empress Dowager's residence and saw Old Master Luo being chased by Empress Dowager Yan Shi with a sword. She immediately stepped forward, stopped Empress Dowager Yan Shi, and asked, "Grandmother, what are you doing?" "Ask him." Empress Dowager Yan Shi's eyes were red, and she pointed her sword at Old Master Luo. "Luo Tong, you actually hid the matter of Jinghong from me for so long. If I hadn't found out by myself today, were you going to continue hiding it from me?" As soon as she said that, Luo Qingtong immediately knew what was going on. Was it because of her father? Luo Qingtong looked at old man Luo, who looked dejected. "Ah, it's not that I want to hide it from you, but..." "But what? Are you afraid that I can't accept the fact that Jinghong is gone?" "Yes. I can't accept it. Luo Tong, this is how you raised my son for 40 years. You didn't even tell me that he was dead. Not only that, he didn't even set up a memorial tablet for them. Now you still want to continue hiding it from me. Empress Dowager Yan, she was obviously furious. Get lost. I'm not going to hold this wedding. I don't want to see you again. Grandfather Luo panicked when he heard this. Listen to me. I really didn't mean to hide it from you. It's not that I don't want to set up memorial tablets for them. As he spoke, he stomped his foot and gritted his teeth. It's just that they aren't dead yet. Qingtong's parents aren't dead yet. What? Empress Dowager Yan, she was about to leave, but when she heard that, she immediately looked up at Old Master Luo. Luo Qingtong was also surprised. Grandpa, you mean, my parents aren't dead? But if that was the case, then why did everyone say that her parents were dead? If it weren't for the fact that the Luo family didn't have a successor, the second branch wouldn't dare to be so arrogant. Luo Xinning wouldn't have any ideas about her. Jing Huan, no, oh. And the royal family of Tianyu. If it weren't for the death of Luo Qingtong's mother, why would they look down on Luo Qingtong and the Luo family? Chapter 830. AI. Old Master Luo sighed heavily. It's a long story, I didn't want to say it, but, AI. He looked at Empress Dowager Yan Shi helplessly. Originally, he wanted to find an opportunity in the future to slowly tell her about it. But Empress Dowager Yan Shi missed her son and went to investigate, which led to today's incident. Old Master Luo sighed even harder as he thought about it. Let's go in and talk. The group of people entered the main hall that was in a mess. Empress Dowager Yan Shi called people to clean up. Now that King Ning was dead, the entire Chu imperial family respected Empress Dowager Yan Shi. When the two fought, no one dared to stop them. When Empress Dowager Yan Shi flew into a rage, all the guards and maids who were responsible for serving the palace were reprimanded and retreated far away. Now that they heard Empress Dowager Yan Shi's summons, they dared to come back and clean up the mess. After everything was cleaned up, Luo Qingtong, Old Master Luo, and Empress Dowager Yan Shi sat together. Old Master Luo told them what happened in the past. Qingtong, your mother isn't an ordinary person. Old Master Luo's words were shocking. You also know that your mother cured UNMO, right? Because of this, the Tianyu imperial family painstakingly begged for you and UNMO to be engaged. At that time, your mother just wanted you to live a better life. That's why she agreed to the Tianyu imperial family's request, but she didn't expect them to be so cruel and unscrupulous. She also didn't expect that your mother and father would leave our Luo family one after another. Old Master Luo sighed. The reason why I told the outside world that your father and mother were dead was because your father told me to. Qingtong, you probably don't know, but your mother was actually an alchemist, and an extremely high-level one at that. She wasn't from our Sky Spill continent. When she and your father returned to the Luo family, her strength was almost exhausted. After having you, she did everything she could to protect you. Not long after she cured UNMO, she received a message from the outside world and left. Your father waited for her in the Luo family. When you were 2 years old, he also left the Luo family, saying that he was going to find her. Before he left, he told me that if he didn't return, I was to tell the outside world that they were dead. Otherwise, I'm afraid it would bring disaster to the Luo family. I wanted to raise Qingtong, so I did as he said. For so many years, there was no news as news. But before your father left, he left behind a jade pendant for you. Old Master Luo continued, he said that the jade pendant is linked to his life. As long as it doesn't break, he'll be fine. As for your mother's piece, it's with you, Wenma. Back then, it was left behind as a token of engagement between the two of you. As old Luo took as Luo said Luo Qingtong Luo took Luo it was a translucent jade pendant. If Yuan Ma was here, he would realize that this jade pendant was a pair with the one around his neck. The two crescent-shaped jade pendants were connected from head to tail, forming a perfect circle. It Luto Luo Tian, the shape of the blood droplets was perfect. This jade pendant was left to you by your father. It is also your and Yuan Mo's engagement token. Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed. She knew about the engagement token between her and Yuan Mo. She had wanted to wait until her engagement with Yuan Mo was completely annulled before retrieving the engagement token. She didn't think that this engagement token would be the treasure that kept the original owner's mother alive. Chapter 831. However, Yuan Mo didn't want to cancel the engagement no matter what. Was it related to this engagement token? Luo Qingtong thought, then quickly shook her head. It was for no other reason. At that time, Tianyu's imperial family was powerful. After learning that the original owner's mother had gone missing, they immediately turned hostile. From the looks of it, they could break off the engagement first, and then hide the engagement token. After all, they had given the engagement token. If they hadn't, then they hadn't. Why would they be afraid of what the Luo clan would say? With how Yuan Mo didn't care about the original owner, he would probably agree with this approach. Therefore, he was determined not to break off the engagement. There should be other reasons. However, no matter what the reason was, it had nothing to do with Luo Qingtong. Just like how Yuan Mo didn't care about the original owner, Luo Qingtong was the same. When the time came for the Empire of Qin's Holy Academy, Yuan Mo would calmly accept the fact that the engagement was broken off and hand over the engagement token. Otherwise, he would be in for a good time. As Luo Qingtong thought about it, she smiled coldly. At this time, Empress Dowager Yan Shi's voice sounded. Then you don't know where Jinghong and the others are? Her face was full of worry. Originally, Empress Dowager Yan Shi thought that her beloved son was dead, so she was very angry. Now that her anger was gone, she couldn't help but worry. People outside the realm. Her son was actually related to people outside the realm. No wonder he told Grandfather Luo that they were dead before he left. Her daughter-in-law's identity was extraordinary. Even if she crippled her cultivation to be with her son, she couldn't avoid disaster. That's why she ran away before. Thinking like this, Empress Dowager Yan Shi's heart was filled with unspeakable worry. Luo Qingtong also looked at Grandfather Luo. I only know that he went to find his daughter-in-law. However, his daughter-in-law is from outside the realm. It's not easy for her to leave the continent. I also don't know where Jinghong is now. How could Grandfather Luo not be worried? However, he had Luo Qingtong to worry about. His son and daughter-in-law had entrusted their granddaughter to him, so he naturally had to take good care of her. Moreover, going to the outer realm wasn't a simple matter. Grandfather Luo didn't know how much his son had been hiding from him, and where was he going to find him? Is there no other way? Luo Qingtong looked at them and asked. Grandfather, don't you have any information about them? People from the outer realms. Even if Luo Qingtong wasn't too familiar with the matters of the Sky Spill continent, she still knew that the other side that Yi Qianxian spoke of was similar to. Old Master Luo's words of beyond the mainland confirmed her suspicions. It turned out that the Sky Spill continent wasn't the entire world. Outside of it, there was an even wider sky and even more experts. Luo Qingtong thought so, her heart was boiling. I only know that your mother came from a place called Flying Feather. I don't know anything else. Grandpa Luo shook his head. When his daughter-in-law came to the Luo family, other than her medical skills, she had no strength at all. He was afraid of touching her sore spot, so he didn't ask. I know, at this moment, Empress Dowager Yan Shi's voice sounded. Chapter 832. The Land of the Hidden World. In the main city of the Black Field, Luo Qingtong frowned as she thought about what Empress Dowager Yan she had said. The land of the hidden world, even in the Sky Spill continent, was an extremely mysterious and powerful place. There are countless powerful hidden sects there. It is said that there is a realm above the Saint Realm. And the place with the most powerhouses that surpass the Saint Realm is the land of the hidden world. The powerhouses there don't often come out, but once they take a liking to you as a disciple, you will be able to step onto the path to heaven. The Yanyu family that you have a relationship with, their young master, Yanyu Ju, was taken in as a disciple by a powerhouse there. Empress Dowager Yan she said, it is said that that is the only place that connects to the outside world. If you want to go to the outside world, you must first go to the land of the hidden world. As Luo Qingtong thought of this, she couldn't help but think of Yi Qianxian. If Yi Qianxian and the others came from the outside world, wouldn't they be very clear about the land of the hidden world? As Luo Qingtong thought of this, she came back to ask Yi Qianxian. However, the man's answer disappointed her. I didn't come in through the land of the hidden world. Yi Qianxian's expression was light. With his strength, if he wanted to enter the Sky Spill continent, why would he need to go through the land of the hidden world? Those people in the hidden world had probably never even met him face to face. Why are you asking this? Yi Qianxian looked at her and frowned. With your current strength, it is not suitable for you to go outside the continent. This woman shouldn't do anything stupid. Only those above the Saint Realm had the qualifications to leave the continent. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to withstand the rich and abundant spiritual energy outside. Naturally, Yi Qianren could protect her and walk around outside. However, it was impossible for him to be by Luo Qingtong's side all the time and protect her from the terrifying spiritual energy pressure from the outside world. Therefore, it was best for Luo Qingtong to cultivate to the Saint Realm before leaving the continent. Yes. Luo Qingtong nodded. I know. Hearing the slight nervousness in the man's words, she felt a little amused. Did she look like such a rash person? This man was really nervous about what? However, she didn't know that she had done so many shocking things that Yi Qianxian would inevitably think too much about it. Yes, wait until your strength increases in the future. There's no hurry. Yi Qianxian's eyes darkened as he gently stroked Luo Qingtong's hair. Is there any other way to get to the hidden world? Luo Qingtong looked at him and asked. Yes. Yi Qianxian narrowed his eyes. Half a year later, the 4 great saint academies will hold a grand meeting to decide the number 1 in the eastern region. At the same time, you will participate in the 4 regions competition and compete for a spot to enter the hidden world. At that time, the sects in the hidden world will head to the 4 regions to select the disciples they need to replenish their new blood. At that time, it will be the way for people below the Saint Realm to enter the hidden world. Yi Qianxian looked at her and said. Half a year later? Luo Qingtong looked at him and blinked. Wasn't that the date agreed upon by the Grand Dean of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin? When Luo Qingtong had asked for leave, the Grand Dean had agreed with her that no matter where Luo Qingtong was at that time, she had to rush to the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. Could it be because of this? If so, then it was no wonder that the Grand Dean insisted that she rush to the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin at that time. It turned out that it was to have one more trump card. While Luo Qingtong was thinking about this, in the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. Chapter 833. That voice was filled with anger as it rang out in front of the headmaster of the Grand Qin Sacred Academy. The dean raised his head and saw the figure standing in front of him. He was shocked. Great Elder, you're back? It was the Great Elder of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. Humph. If I hadn't come back, I don't know what you and your master would have done to the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. The Great Elder of the Saint Academy said angrily. Let me ask you. What's the matter with that student called Luo Qingtong? And the group of students she brought with her? It's good enough that some of them can become Xian grade students. Your master even gave them the admission notice of heaven grade students. Isn't this an insult to the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin? What's more infuriating is that Luo Qingtong. She asked for a leave of half a year to a year. What does she think the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin is? Her family's back garden? She can come and go as she pleases? The great elder of the Saint Academy was furious. When he first heard the news, he couldn't believe it. He didn't believe that the Grand Dean and his disciple would insult the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin like this. He didn't expect it to be true when he came back to the Saint Academy. How can you and your disciple face the past deans and ancestors of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin? The great elder of the Saint Academy was extremely angry. Somewhere in the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin, Yu Wenma was drinking tea with a group of people beside him in a pavilion in the courtyard. Senior brother, that's a good move. A disciple of a big family from the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin beside him said indifferently, I've asked the teacher to call the great elder back. With the great elder's temper, he'll definitely be furious about Luo Qingtong's leave of absence. At that time, he can take this opportunity to drive the Ling siblings out of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. Yes. Another person sitting next to the student of the Empire of Qin said, the great elder is a person who upholds the rules of the Empire of Qin. He's very old-fashioned and stubborn. Back then, His Highness King Wu wanted to ask for a leave of absence from the Sacred Academy because of the breakthrough of the dragon energy in his body. It was the first elder who rejected his request. His Highness King Wu is a heaven-defying hero. Even under the suppression of the Crown Prince's true dragon strength, he was still able to rise up in a stunning manner and contend against His Highness. She's highly regarded by the imperial family, and even the great elder didn't give her any face. Now that I heard that Luo Qingtong took so many days off, it would be strange if I wasn't angry. Yes. Ling Tianhan and the rest probably thought that by using Luo Qingtong as a shield, senior brother would have some reservations. But I didn't think that Luo Qingtong was nothing to senior brother. Now that they're involved in Luo Qingtong's matter, it's certain that they'll be driven out of the Sacred Academy together. Otherwise, with Ling Tianhan's talent, we'd have to spend a lot of effort to deal with him. Moreover, we might not be able to drive them out of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. The student of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin laughed as he spoke. He said to Yu Wenma, senior brother, you're still the best. Ha! You're taking drastic measures to solve the problem once and for all. Ling Tianhan and the rest definitely didn't think that senior brother would have such a move. Yu Wenma listened with a faint smile on his face as he drank his tea. However, his eyes couldn't hide the arrogance and coldness in them. He only found out about the agreement between Luo Qingtong and the Grand Principal by chance. Chapter 834. He didn't know how Ling Tianhan and the rest managed to get the Grand Principal to agree to such a thing and grant Luo Qingtong so many days off. But it must have something to do with the evil Dr. Ghost Eye behind them. Since that was the case, he would help them to bring forward the deadline. Did they think that he would care about Luo Qingtong? What was that woman to him? She was just a tool to carry out his marriage contract and help him achieve his ambitions. Since she was so stupid to be used, he would just beat her at her own game. He would use her as a breakthrough point to drive Ling Tianhan and the rest out of the Sage Academy. Even if Ling Tianhan was talented, so what if he was driven out of the Sage Academy of the Empire of Qin by the Grand Elder himself? Yu Wenma sneered. Su Jinhua, who was sitting next to him, also looked proud and happy. She had come up with this idea for Yu Wenma. She had wanted to test Yu Wenma's feelings for Luo Qingtong. After all, Yu Wenma had refused to break off the engagement. Su Jinhua admired Yu Wenma and naturally felt uneasy. Now she saw that Yu Wenma didn't care about Luo Qingtong at all and directly used her plan. He didn't care whether Luo Qingtong's future would be ruined after she was driven out of the Sage Academy of the Empire of Qin. Su Jinyue's heart was full of joy. Senior brother really didn't like Luo Qingtong. She thought that the Luo family must have used some despicable means to bind senior brother so that he couldn't break off the engagement. In this way, things would be easy. Su Jinyue thought and smiled proudly and coldly in her heart. After Luo Qingtong was driven out of the Sage Academy of the Empire of Qin, she would ask her parents to take action and let Luo Qingtong know that a man like senior brother couldn't be restrained by the Luo family's means. If she knew what was good for her, she would voluntarily remove the restraints on senior brother and take the initiative to break off the engagement. There would be no more entanglement. Otherwise, Su Jinyue's eyes were full of arrogance and viciousness. Then don't blame her for being rude. Originally, Su Jinyue didn't take Luo Qingtong seriously. After all, how could the legitimate daughter of a marquis of a small inferior country compare to her, Yu Wenma's junior sister, a disciple of the holy court of the Empire of Qin? Even Su Jinyue deliberately asked her parents to give Luo Qingtong a place as a reward for the branch school. He sent Luo Qingtong to Yu Wenma's illustrious Tianyu branch, and let her be abused by those Tianyu branch students who regarded Yu Wenma as a god, a peerless genius. At that time, he would just have to watch the show. Let's see how the first wife's daughter of a marquis from an inferior nation who does not know the immensity of heaven and earth would humiliate herself and realize the huge difference between her and Yu Wenma. Who would have thought that the other party would become the #1 disciple of the Tianyu Academy and come to the Empire of Qin Academy? Wasn't that purely to disgust people? No matter how much Su Jinyue disdained Luo Qingtong and looked down on her, she couldn't ignore the fact that the other party was Yu Wenma's fiancé. In particular, the Ling siblings used Luo Qingtong's name to mock her and Yu Wenma every time they saw her. Thinking of this, Su Jinyue's face was full of anger and resentment. However, it didn't matter. Luo Qingtong would soon be expelled from the holy court of the Empire of Qin, together with the Ling siblings. When that time came, he would definitely appear in front of them and taunt them as the victor. Let's see who would have the last laugh. Chapter 835. In the dean's office, the first elder of the Sacred Academy shouted angrily and ordered the dean of the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin. Now, immediately, expel Luo Qingtong and the students from Tianyu branch from the Saint Academy. The Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin can't tolerate such a famous student. Even among the students of Tianyu branch who entered the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin with Luo Qingtong, there were some talented ones. But the rules and dignity of the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin couldn't be violated. He would expel all of these students, and no one would be spared. It was a warning to others. No. As soon as the first elder of the Sacred Academy finished speaking, an angry shout came from outside the door. When the Grand Dean received the news that the first elder of the Sacred Academy had come back, he immediately knew that something bad had happened and hurried back. Otherwise, with his stupid disciple's temper, he wouldn't be able to stop the first elder of the Sacred Academy from getting angry. What the hell, Husky? Didn't the first elder of the Sacred Academy travel outside to make a breakthrough? Otherwise, the Grand Dean wouldn't have made an agreement with Luo Qingtong to take a vacation of half a year to a year. The first elder of the Sacred Academy was the most stubborn one, and he attached great importance to the rules of the Sacred Academy. The Grand Dean had quarreled with him many times because of these things. Now that he came back to take care of this matter, the Grand Dean suddenly had a headache. But even so, the Grand Dean couldn't give up Luo Qingtong. What a joke! She was the trump card that he had worked so hard to get. Not to mention other things, with Luo Qingtong's identity and strength as the evil Dr. Ghost Eyes, who could compete with her in the entire pharmaceutical academy? The only one with potential, Su Xiaoxiao, was cultivated by Luo Qingtong himself. What's more, Luo Qingtong was also an alchemist. What was an alchemist? As long as Luo Qingtong was in charge of the Pharmaceutical Academy of the Sacred Academy, basically, no one in the eastern region or even the four regions could be her match. That was an ironclad victory. Now the first elder of the Sacred Academy wanted to expel her? The Grand Dean wouldn't do it even if he was beaten to death. What's more, the Grand Dean had secretly inquired about what Luo Qingtong had done in the imperial palace of the Great Chu sacred dynasty. Luo Qingtong completely crushed Princess Feng Yuan's strength and talent at the same cultivation level. If he wanted to push Luo Qingtong out of the Saint Academy, he would be a huge fool. Luo Qingtong Strength Academies. The first elder of the Sacred Academy, the rules of the Sacred Academy's rules is rules. However, as long as the student has sufficient strength and talent, and it doesn't affect their own cultivation, then what's wrong with taking some leave? The first elder of the Sacred Academy interrupted the Grand Dean angrily. Zhu Yi, you are twisting words and forcing logic. The first elder of the Sacred Academy was furious. He slammed his palm on the desk in front of him, splitting the extremely hard desk into two halves in an instant. He said angrily, there was a precedent of this in the Sacred Academy. It was above the legendary Dean. That legendary Dean's strength was unparalleled. He was the strongest in the history of the Sacred Academy. No one could compare to him. When he was a student, he once took a year's leave. His strength rose from the initial Martial King realm to the peak of the Martial King realm, close to the Martial Royal realm. His strength growth was unparalleled. He didn't lose to the top heaven-grade students of the Sacred Academy. Later, he won the title of Sacred Seed. Chapter 836. The first elder of the Saint Academy sneered, "Don't say I'm heartless. 3 days later, it'll be a 3-month holiday. As long as Luo Qingtong can come back in time and improve her strength by a small level." According to her information, she was at the medium level of the Martial King realm, right? It's ridiculous that a small branch dares to claim that it has such a strong student. The first elder of the Saint Academy sneered and squinted at the highest dean. She was certain that the latter had done something so that the student named Luo Qingtong could have the right to apply for leave. Unfortunately, the highest dean would soon reveal his true colors in front of him. I don't want her to improve her strength too much. As long as she can reach the high level of the Martial King realm, I'll admit that her leave is valid. Otherwise, I'll kick her and the group of people around her out of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. The Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin doesn't accept students who are opportunistic and don't want to learn. They only know how to rely on connections. The first elder of the Saint Academy left the dean's office angrily. Looking at the first elder's back, the dean of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin looked at the highest dean. What do you think? The highest dean was having a headache. He was not afraid that Luo Qingtong's strength could not meet the requirements of the first elder of the Saint Academy. It was known that the girl had taken the opportunity to break through to the Martial Royal realm when she was fighting with Princess Feng Yuan in the imperial palace of the Chu sacred dynasty. Otherwise, how could the highest dean be so confident to argue with the first elder of the Saint Academy? Of course, he was confident that Luo Qingtong's strength would shock everyone when she came back. At that time, the highest dean could not blame him for granting her so many days of leave. But speaking of which, that girl was really too abnormal. When the highest dean granted Luo Qingtong the days of leave, he did not expect that her strength would improve so rapidly. She improved much faster than those heaven-grade students in the Saint Academy. It would save him the trouble of explaining these vacations in the future. However, he didn't expect that the first elder of the Saint Academy would come back at this time. Moreover, he had been back for a long time. He was furious about Luo Qingtong's leave. It was as if someone had specifically told him about this matter and called him back to make things difficult for him. What made the Grand Dean even more worried was that he didn't know how to contact Luo Qingtong. Would it be more convenient to send the message to Blackfield or to the Great Chu sacred dynasty? 3 days was enough to drive someone to death. The first elder of the Sacred Academy didn't want Luo Qingtong to come back at all, so he put forward such a condition. Furthermore, the reason why he said that he wanted to raise his strength was just to diss the Grand Principal and embarrass the latter. He never thought that Luo Qingtong would be able to come back in time. In 3 days, unless Luo Qingtong had the best spiritual ship or happened to be near the holy capital of the Empire of Qin, she would never be able to rush back to the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin in time. However, if Luo Qingtong was near the holy capital of the Empire of Qin, would she still need to ask for leave? As for the best spiritual ship, it was even more impossible. With her identity as the legitimate daughter of a low-level marquis, it was already a great thing to have a profound level ship. She might not even have one. Not to mention a supreme-grade flying boat. The first elder of the Sacred Academy didn't have one himself. How could that student named Luo Qingtong have one? The first elder of the Sacred Academy thought so and was sure that Luo Qingtong would be expelled in 3 days. At that time, even their group of students would be expelled. Chapter 837. Immediately send this news to the Black Field. The Grand Principal thought about it and still felt that it was safer to send it to the Black Field. With the importance that the Black Field's Ming Zun attached to that girl, even if that girl ran to some unknown place, the chances of him being able to contact her were higher than ordinary people. Although according to the general situation, Luo Qingtong should be in Great Chu at this time. But that girl never played by the rules. The Grand Principal had a headache thinking about it. That girl had better not run off to some unknown place at this time. Otherwise, she would not be able to make it back in time. At that time, it would be troublesome. At the same time, he immediately began to investigate the matter of the great elder of the Holy Court to see who had invited this great Buddha back to slap his face. In the Great Chu sacred dynasty, Luo Qingtong still did not know about this. The preparations for Grandfather Luo and Empress Dowager Yan Shi's wedding were almost done. This time, it was the Empress Dowager's remarriage. Although she had obtained the consent of the Great Chu imperial family and that transcendent saint, it was not a particularly glorious thing. For the sake of the Great Chu imperial family's face, Empress Dowager Yan Shi's wedding was not wantonly arranged. The guests invited were also limited to the major forces and families of the Great Chu sacred dynasty. But all the guests who received the invitation were jubilant. Not for anything else, but this time, the Black Field's Ming Zun had confirmed that he would come to Empress Dowager Yan Shi's wedding. And the evil Dr. Ghost Eye, who was popular in the Black Field and even in the 4 great sacred dynasties, also said that he would bring gifts to congratulate. Who knew how many people were secretly happy to be able to see these 2 great Buddhas in their lifetime? Especially the Black Field's Ming Zun, his power was boundless and his strength was at the peak of perfection, unparalleled. He had single-handedly established the Black Field, causing the 4 great sacred dynasties to have no choice but to retreat. With such honor, ordinary people would be honored to even hear his name, let alone be able to see him. In the Eastern Domain, those who could see him were all formidable and peerless existences. Only the absolute powerhouses of the Saint Plain would be able to meet him. Now that he said that he would attend Empress Dowager Yan Shi's wedding, it naturally attracted people like a flock of ducks. Even if this wedding did not invite everyone, it was already the center of attention. The eyes of the 4 sacred dynasties were all focused on the wedding. Not to mention the other 3 regions. Rumble. Countless cannon salutes sounded all around the Chu dynasty's sacred capital. Amidst the waves of cannon salutes, one spirit boat after another poured into the holy capital from all directions. Countless cannons were fired, and on those spirit ships, experts from various forces stood with their hands behind their backs, surrounded by congratulatory gifts. Flags fluttered in the air. Seeing the name of the faction embroidered on it, the surrounding crowd exclaimed from time to time. Each and every one of them was a famous power within the borders of Great Chu, and even outside of Great Chu. Some of the superpowers that didn't receive an invitation also sent congratulatory gifts to congratulate Ming Zun after learning that he was going to attend the wedding. This was the deterrence that Yi Qianming, a Black-Field Dark Lord, possessed in the true Spill continent. Just a single name, a single sentence, was enough to shake the entire true Spill continent. After receiving the invitation from Old Man Luo, everyone from the Feng family came to the Chu dynasty's sacred capital. Seeing such a lively scene around them and confirming Old Man Luo's name again and again, the group still felt as if they were in a dream. Chapter 838. A daughter should be like Luo Qingtong. The Luo family's Qingtong is a natural dragon. The Luo family's old master sighed. Yes. The Luo family's people also sighed. A year ago, who would have thought that the Luo family and Luo family's old master would have such good fortune? Luo Qingtong's rise had really changed their fate and the Luo family's fate. The Luo family's people rushed to the Chu palace. At this moment, a voice suddenly came from the side of the road. Luo Miao Miao. With this voice, the Luo family's people immediately looked to the side. With this look, their faces immediately turned cold. They saw a young man in a luxurious robe looking at them in surprise. Then his brows furrowed. He looked at the Luo family's people and said very impolitely, "Why are you here? This is the holy capital of Chu, not a place you can come." The man's expression was very impatient. "I don't know how you found your way here. But I already said before that Luo Miao Miao and I were just playing. With my status, how can a trash family like your Luo family be worthy of me? Don't think that you can do anything just because you found your way here. As long as I want, your Luo family can forget about leaving the holy capital of Chu." The man's expression was very arrogant. The Luo family's people were furious when they heard this. This was a scumbag who had once deceived Luo Miao Miao. Back then, after swearing an oath of eternal love and deceiving Luo Miao Miao with flowery words, he lost her in the blink of an eye. He even said in public that he was just playing with Luo Miao Miao. How could the latter's status be worthy of him? Luo Miao Miao was Luo Haran's cousin. Because of this, she almost killed herself. Who would have thought that the lover she loved so much was such a disgusting person? And because of this, she brought so much humiliation and disgust to the Luo family. When Luo Miao Miao was with him, she didn't know his identity at all, let alone who he was. She fell for him just because of her passion. Who knew that he was such a person? Alright, you Luo family's people, hurry up and get lost. Don't disturb us going to the wedding banquet. If you dare to cause trouble, I won't let you out of the holy capital. The man scolded the family. What right do you have to tell us to scram? We are also here to attend the wedding banquet. The Si family members were furious, especially Si Miao Miao, who was at the end of her patience. Ha! The man looked at them and said with contempt, "You want to attend the wedding banquet in the palace? Ran Miao Miao, are you deliberately trying to cause trouble?" As he spoke, a middle-aged man who was obviously the head of his family walked over. After hearing what happened here, he immediately frowned and said coldly, "What's the point of telling them so much? Just break his legs and throw him out. Don't you know where you are? What kind of family do you think our Hua clan is? How dare you cause trouble here?" As he spoke, he scolded the man, "And you, stop fooling around outside all day long. You want all kinds of trash. Don't you find trash from an inferior country dirty?" When he said that, everyone from the Si clan was so angry that their faces turned pale. They almost wanted to fight with their lives on the line. At this moment, a group of Hua family guards also surrounded them. All of them were emitting the aura of martial emperors. They looked at the Chu clan members as if they were looking at a bunch of corpses. Chapter 839. Grandpa Si, uncles, why are you here? Luo Qingtong was dressed in red, like a fiery red lotus, standing behind the Si family. She had just come out of the Chu imperial palace. She saw the Si family surrounded by the Hua family's guards and immediately walked over. Luo girl. Seeing Luo Qingtong, the Si family's faces were filled with joy. Especially the old master of the Si family, he was so excited that he couldn't speak. Sister Qingtong. When the Si family's juniors saw Luo Qingtong, it was as if they saw their savior. The Hua family had gone too far. Relying on the fact that they were a large family in the holy capital, not only did they toy with Si Miao's feelings, but they also wanted to drive them out of the holy capital. Why? They were also here to attend the imperial palace's banquet. Even if they weren't, the Hua family couldn't be so overbearing and domineering. Sister Qingtong. They bullied us and wanted to break our legs and drive us out of the holy capital. The Si family's juniors didn't know Luo Qingtong's true identity. But it was true that old Master Luo had become the Grand Duke of the Chu imperial palace. Luo Qingtong's status was definitely not low, and she definitely had a certain amount of prestige in the Chu imperial palace. They didn't expect Luo Qingtong to be able to do anything to the Hua family, but it would be good enough if she could save them from the humiliation at this moment. The Hua family had really gone too far. They gritted their teeth and recounted what had just happened. Hearing that the other party had cheated on Si Miao's feelings and was afraid that they would cause trouble and wanted to break their legs and throw them out of the Chu imperial palace, Luo Qingtong immediately raised her eyebrows. The Hua family? Yes. The Hua family's manager had a face full of pride. When Luo Qingtong appeared just now, he was afraid that they had provoked a disciple of a large faction in the holy capital. Now it seemed that he had no impression of her age and appearance, so she couldn't be a disciple of a large faction in the Chu imperial palace. Then she must be from outside. And those factions outside of the Chu that were qualified to send congratulatory gifts were all super factions, and the envoys they sent were mostly Saint Realm experts. This girl definitely couldn't be one of them. They must be from other commanderies and cities of Great Chu. At the thought of this, the Hua clan's head laughed disdainfully. Those outside might be powerful in their commandery, but in front of the forces of the holy capital, they were nothing. Especially when their Hua family was following Empress Dowager Yan Shi. However, the fact that the Ji family was able to find the holy capital was very likely due to the help of the power behind this young girl. What's more, they wanted to use my family to achieve something. Unfortunately, he wouldn't let them have their way. With this thought in mind, the Hua clan's leader looked at Luo Qingtong with even more disdain and coldness. I don't care what your intentions are. Get out of my sight right now. The disciples of the Hua clan of the holy capital aren't people you can associate with. As soon as he finished speaking, before Luo Qingtong could say anything, the Hua clan disciple next to him looked at Luo Qingtong with a covetous gaze and said, "Of course, if Miss is willing to be with me, it's not a big deal even if I take you and Ji Miao in as my concubine." The Hua clan disciple looked at Luo Qingtong with shining eyes. The latter's face was absolutely beautiful, her temperament languid and domineering, charming and seductive, making his heart itch. If she was willing to be with him, so what if he took Ji Miao in as a concubine? Chapter 840. Oh. Luo Qingtong looked at the Hua family disciple with a faint smile. What if I don't want to? Then we may not let you go today. The Hua family disciple had obviously been bewitched by the faint smile on Luo Qingtong's face. She was just a disciple of a foreign force. So what if she was from a certain commandery's royal family? Who didn't know about the slightly powerful commandery's royal family and disciples of forces in the Great Chu sacred dynasty? Among them, there was absolutely no figure of this girl. Immediately, the Hua family disciple became lustful. In any case, the holy capital of the Chu dynasty was their territory. Even if they took the girl by force, who could do anything to them? The Hua family disciple said, looking at Luo Qingtong with more and more lustful eyes. The Hua family's manager watched from the side and didn't make a sound. She was just a girl. So what if his nephew played with her? Anyway, with their status in the holy capital, not many forces dared to do anything to them. Shameless. Seeing that the Hua family people were still thinking about Luo Qingtong, the Ran family people became anxious. Do you know who she is? You dare to have ideas about her. Especially Ran Miao Miao, who was even more furious. She couldn't imagine that the person she had taken a fancy to was such a disgusting and immoral person. I don't care who she is. Our Hua family is the followers of Empress Dowager Yan Shi. We are the family under Empress Dowager Yan Shi. Now that Empress Dowager Yan and Empress Dowager Yan are married, the latter has the black field behind her. You know the black field, right? There is no one I can't provoke. The disciple of the Hua clan laughed out loud. The Hua family manager also sneered at the side. The Hua family guards around them roared with laughter. With the Hua family's power behind Empress Dowager Yan Shi, as long as the latter didn't fall, what did their Hua family have to be afraid of? Ran Miao Miao's words were simply ridiculous. She probably didn't know what a big family in the holy capital meant. Hearing his words, the Ran family people's faces turned pale. The Hua family was the family behind Empress Dowager Yan Shi? With Empress Dowager Yan Shi's support? In that case, wouldn't they be in trouble? Even Luo Qingtong couldn't stop them. After all, she was only old Master Luo's granddaughter. Even if she recognized Empress Dowager Yan Shi as her grandmother, she might not be able to compare to the Hua family. Thinking of this, the Feng family panicked. They didn't know Luo Qingtong's true identity and only thought that they had implicated Luo Qingtong, so they hurriedly said, "Qingtong, leave now. Hua clan, you're shameless. This is between the Si family and the Hua family. Don't drag others into this." "Humph. I told you to scram, but you didn't. Now, all of you can stay here." The Hua clan's disciples sneered and looked at Luo Qingtong with an evil gaze. "Men," he said proudly, "invite this young lady into the Hua family. When I return from the banquet, I will reward you handsomely." A group of Hua family guards obeyed the order and approached Luo Qingtong maliciously. The latter's expression was indifferent as she stood there without moving. "I was still thinking about how to deal with you. Now, I don't need to think about it anymore." Luo Qingtong looked coldly at the group of Hua family people in front of her. "The Hua family doesn't need to stay." The Hua family disciple heard this and laughed even more wildly. "You said the Hua family doesn't need to stay? Little girl, who do you think you are?" As soon as he finished speaking, a voice suddenly cried out in surprise. Chapter 841. Your Highness. Following this voice, a group of people suddenly walked out from behind Luo Qingtong. These people had a vast and ethereal aura. Almost every one of them was above the saint realm. The aura around them was constantly in harmony with the spiritual energy in the surrounding air. What was even more shocking was that they were wearing the uniforms of the officials. "Your Highness, what are you doing here?" The court official of the Chu sacred dynasty who spoke first looked at Luo Qingtong, who was surrounded by the Hua family with the Chu family. He hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. "The Empress Dowager's wedding ceremony is about to begin. Why aren't you accompanying Empress Dowager at this time? And, what's going on? You are from the Hua family?" The court official looked at the Hua family who were confronting Luo Qingtong and the others in surprise. The latter and the others' faces were already numb. "Your Highness, the Empress Dowager." This court official didn't say much, but he clearly explained Luo Qingtong's identity. Other than that young girl who had saved the Great Chu from collapse, thwarted Great Yong's conspiracy, and preserved the Great Chu's throne, who else would be worthy of the respectful salute and the greeting of "Your Imperial Highness" by the Great Chu imperial family's transcendent sage? There were many princesses in the world, but there was only one person in the entire Chu who could make the court officials bow and bend their knees and call her, Your Highness. That was Princess Shengning. She was the holy conferred princess. The faces of the Hua family members instantly turned green. As for the Hua family disciple who was still laughing wildly and asking who Luo Qingtong was and how she dared to say that the Hua family couldn't keep her, he was so shocked that he was speechless, as though his neck was being strangled. His throat made a sound like a rusty machine, and he looked at Luo Qingtong with extreme shock. His face was completely frozen in place. This girl was the holy conferred princess? The holy conferred princess? That Hua clan disciple, who had been incomparably arrogant just a moment ago, was now like a chicken that had its neck choked. The Hua family member who had been watching from the side with a faint sneer on his face and didn't take Luo Qingtong's words seriously also changed his expression. How was this possible? This young girl was actually the legendary princess. The Hua family member's forehead instantly broke out in a cold sweat, almost wetting his hair. He thought of the words that the Hua family member had just said to Luo Qingtong and almost fainted in an instant. My God! What did the Hua family members do? They wanted to capture the holy conferred princess and make her the exclusive property of the Hua family members. Thinking of Luo Qingtong's words. Just a moment ago, they had treated this sentence as a joke. At this moment, who would treat Luo Qingtong's words as a joke? How is this possible? The Hua family member trembled and said, The holy conferred princess is so respected. How can she be with such a group of low-level countries? When he said this, his voice suddenly stopped abruptly. He remembered. When Tai Yao and Princess Shengning entered the holy city to propose, they did say that they were from the Luo family of Dongli country. But in the end, the miracle created by Luo Qingtong and Luo Qingtong was amazing. Everyone only remembered the black field behind them and their powerful strength and talent. They forgot where they were from. Princess Shengning was indeed from Dongli country. And the Chu family was also from Dongli country. Chapter 842. That Hua family disciple had already collapsed to the ground, his face filled with indescribable fear and despair. How could he have thought that he would bump into Luo Qingtong, who he could not provoke, when he was just casually bullying a family from a low-level country? Who would have thought that the Ran family, a weak family that he had played with and abandoned, would have Luo Qingtong as their backing? If he had known, he would never have done anything to the Ran family. He would never have had any thoughts about Luo Qingtong, let alone speak rudely to her. He even wanted to worship the Ran family. To be able to be invited to the wedding banquet, the Ran family and the Luo family must have a close relationship. If he had treated Ran Miao Miao well and not humiliated them to death, he might have been able to enter the Hua family and soar to the top. Thinking of this, that Hua family disciple's face was filled with fear, despair, and remorse. Needless to say, the Hua family leader beside him had already knelt on the ground, kowtowing desperately to Luo Qingtong as he begged for mercy, Your Highness. We have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai, please spare our lives. Please spare our lives. Behind that Hua family leader was a group of guards who were just about to capture Luo Qingtong back to the Hua family and make her into the Hua family's exclusive property. At this moment, these people's faces were filled with fear and despair. Their bodies were trembling like rice grains, and each one of them knelt on the ground to beg for mercy, almost knocking their foreheads to the point of bleeding. Your Hua family is powerful, I can't afford to offend you. Luo Qingtong's expression was indifferent, and she had already released the strength she was about to use. If these officials hadn't come just now, these Hua family members would be dead meat. But now that they were here, there was naturally a better way to deal with these people. Delusional of wanting to control me and make me into the Hua family's exclusive property, your Hua family is very bold. Luo Qingtong's voice was cold. Hearing her words, the officials in front of her froze. The Hua family was too bold. Anyone who insults the princess will die. Moreover, Luo Qingtong was not an ordinary princess. Behind her was Empress Dowager Yan Shi in black field. These people from the Hua clan were really courting death. Princess! Princess, we didn't know it was you. Everyone from the Hua clan wailed. Their hearts were filled with regret and despair. They hated the troublemaker to the core. If he hadn't tried to hurt Luo Qingtong, the Hua family wouldn't have ended up like this. Humiliating the Si family and humiliating the princess were two completely different crimes. The former could still be saved. The latter could not be saved. Your Highness! Your Highness! The members of the Hua clan howled in grief, but Luo Qingtong ignored them completely. She directly said to the ministers beside her, "From today onwards, the holy capital will no longer have the Hua clan." Just because they didn't know who she was, they could bully her as they pleased. What if she didn't have her current status today? What if she wasn't strong enough to go against the Hua family? Was he going to let them bully and humiliate him? Just saying that they didn't know was enough? Then if she destroyed the Hua family, she could still say that she was careless and heavy-handed. Luo Qingtong's eyes were cold, but when she looked at the Si family, they became gentle. She still remembered how the Si family desperately tried to delay the Hua family and let her leave. "Grandfather Si, this time you came to the holy capital, don't leave. The Hua family's property will all be inherited by you. All members of the Hua family will be your slaves." Chapter 843. This was the first time Luo Qingtong had used her status as Chu's princess to oppress people. Other than the cries and wails of the Hua clan, the ministers of Chu who came together did not make a sound. The dignity of a princess could not be insulted. That was the title of a princess with the word "saint" in her name. She was the one who inherited the destiny of a nation. Insulting Luo Qingtong was the same as insulting Chu. Luo Qingtong only destroyed the Hua clan and did not kill them, which was already a great kindness. As for the disposal of the Hua clan, it was all Luo Qingtong's decision. If she wanted to give the Hua clan to others, no one could say anything. It was just that in just one day, the power structure of the holy capital had changed again, which was really beyond everyone's expectations. The people of the Ran clan felt like they were in a dream. They were just being humiliated like ants in front of the Hua clan. That scumbag who cheated and abandoned Ran Miao Miao even wanted to break their legs and throw them out of Chu's holy capital in front of everyone. Now, the people of the Hua clan were kneeling in front of them, wailing and begging for mercy, and were about to become their slaves. And they had also jumped from a weak family from Eastern Fence to a big family in Chu's holy capital. The Hua clan of Holy Capital would become the Ran clan of Holy Capital in the future. This series of rapid changes all came from Luo Qingtong. In front of them was a beautiful and graceful girl. Her Highness the Princess? Luo Qingtong was actually a princess of Chu. Looking at the situation, she was not an ordinary princess, even the ministers of the Holy Capital had to respect her. And the Hua clan of Holy Capital, a big family that was incomparably confident and arrogant, could be destroyed with a word from Luo Qingtong. Luo Qingtong, what did she do in Chu? How could she have such honor? Luo clan's girl. Old Master Rant's lips twitched. Before he could speak, Luo Qingtong spoke with a smile. "Grandpa Ran, you can stay here at ease. You can be my grandfather's companion. He only has you as an old friend. The Holy Capital has far more resources than the Eastern Hedge. For the sake of the Feng family's future, don't refuse. As for the rest, you don't have to worry so much." Luo Qingtong understood Grandfather Rant's concerns. He was afraid that if they suddenly appeared in the Holy Capital and replaced the Hua clan, they would attract a backlash from the other powers. It would be disadvantageous to her, grandfather, and them. But he didn't know that Empress Dowager Yan Shi was her grandmother. Old Master Luo didn't just want to marry Empress Dowager Yan Shi. With the two of them, the Feng family was as stable as Mount Tai in Holy Capital. No one would find trouble with them, let alone attack her and her grandfather. Empress Dowager Yan, she would not let such a thing happen. After all, that was the iron-blooded and lofty Empress Dowager Yan, she who was the regent for a dynasty. Thinking of her grandparents, Luo Qingtong smiled. With Luo Qingtong's persuasion, Grandpa Luo no longer insisted. After all, if he wasn't afraid of implicating Luo Qingtong and Grandpa Luo, he wouldn't refuse at all. The Hua clan of the Holy Capital, how much resources was that? It was enough to transform the Feng family from the inside out. Not to mention that Luo Qingtong had left many experts of the Hua clan as servants. With the Great Chu sacred dynasty's methods, how could they be afraid of a rebellion? This was really like a carp leaping over the dragon gate. Grandpa Luo was so excited that he couldn't control himself. He swore in his heart that from now on, the Feng and Luo clans would live and die together. Chapter 844. Luo Qingtong didn't think too much about it. In the beginning, she only wanted to keep the Luo family in the Holy Capital to accompany Grandfather Luo. After all, Grandfather Luo didn't have many old friends, and the Luo family was the only one left. Since the Hua family had jumped out to court death, she would naturally fulfill their wish and save the trouble of making arrangements for the Luo family. After clarifying the Hua family's matter, Luo Qingtong leaped and appeared in a remote area outside the Holy Capital of Great Chu. Now it's time for me to give Grandpa and the others a gift. Luo Qingtong smiled and raised her hand to release her spirit ship. With Luo Qingtong's current status, she could naturally get a better spirit ship. However, Luo Qingtong was already used to this spirit ship. Moreover, Luo Qingtong had drawn many inscription patterns and formations on this spirit ship. Although it looked like an Earth-level spirit ship, in fact, its various functions even surpassed a heaven-level ship. In some aspects, even a heaven-level spirit ship couldn't do it. Therefore, Luo Qingtong didn't change her ship. Let's go. Let's go give Grandpa and Grandma some gifts. After a little disguise, Luo Qingtong put on the sinister and terrifying Rakshasa mask. As the Rakshasa mask was fastened on her face, Luo Qingtong instantly turned into the evil and domineering youth, evil Dr. Ghost Pupil. Swoosh! Luo Qingtong's figure leaped up. Little Pig jumped out of her sleeve with a big red flower hanging in front of his chest. The whole person, no, the whole pig was happy. Let's go. Let's go give the gifts. Little Pig jumped onto the spirit ship, and Luo Qingtong waved her hand. Numerous jade bottles and gift boxes flew out from the ring in her hand like an ocean. In an instant, the entire surface of the spirit ship was covered with jade bottles and gift boxes. If someone knew that these jade bottles were filled with medicinal pills, who knew how many people would be frightened? In the true Spill continent, an alchemist wouldn't easily appear. Only an alchemy grandmaster would be able to come up with something as extravagant as Luo Qingtong. So many medicinal pills as a gift to congratulate a newcomer. The most valuable one was the golden jade and glazed box in Luo Qingtong's hand. Inside was a multicolored radiance that filled the air. It was the bloodline pill. Bearing the fate of the Great Yong sacred dynasty and the bloodline power of the 7th prince of Great Yong, Luo Qingtong's slender hands were held in Luo Qingtong's slender hands. Along with the activation of the spirit ship, they flew in the direction of the sacred capital of Great Chu. Yi Qianming also said that he wanted to give a gift. I don't know what he is going to give. Don't be suppressed by me. Luo Qingtong thought so, and the smile on her lips was unusually evil and enchanting. There weren't many opportunities to suppress that man. Thinking about it, she was quite excited. Of course, if she could openly suppress that man with her own strength, she would be even more excited. Thinking so, Luo Qingtong suddenly licked her lips. Let's go. The spirit ship flew to somewhere outside the main gate of the sacred capital of Great Chu. There were already people from the Black Field waiting there. Following Luo Qingtong's order, the group immediately steered the flying boat and flew towards the holy capital of the Great Chu dynasty. Boom boom boom. In the imperial palace of Great Chu, seeing Luo Qingtong's fleet coming in and seeing the evil character hanging high above, 12 saluting cannons shot into the sky from all directions of the imperial palace of Great Chu. Chapter 845. In the Great Chu imperial palace, Empress Dowager Yan Shi and Old Master Luo were receiving guests from various forces. Old Master Luo had never been as glorious and happy as he was today. Not only had he married his lover and fulfilled the regret of so many years, he was even able to stand in the Great Chu dynasty's imperial palace and invite guests from all over to congratulate him. All of this was something he had never dreamed of before. After knowing that Empress Dowager Yan Shi had become the Empress Dowager of Great Chu, Old Master Luo only had one wish, and that was to be able to accompany her by her side. It didn't matter how he lived, whether he lived as an enemy or as a eunuch. Even if he was tortured and resented, it was fine as long as he could be by her side. At that time, how could he have thought that he would be able to marry her in the end? And all of this was thanks to Luo Qingtong. At this moment, after Old Master Luo was busy, he suddenly discovered that Luo Qingtong, who was originally by his side, had disappeared. Strange, where did that girl Qingtong go? Old Master Luo was about to send someone to look for Luo Qingtong when he suddenly heard a clamor outside. This clamor, even at this moment when guests were coming and going, was so clear. Just as Old Master Luo was wondering who could make these guests so surprised, he heard the sound of 12 firecrackers above the imperial palace. In an instant, boom boom boom. Amidst the violent rumbling, the voices of the Great Chu imperial palace's guards rang out. "Welcome, Your Excellency Evil Dr. Ghost Eye." Evil Dr. Ghost Eye? That magnificent youth who rose from the Black Field's easternly country's branch city and shook the world in just a few months, shocking the 4 great sacred dynasties and the entire eastern region? Everyone's eyes were focused on the entrance of the Great Chu imperial palace, wanting to see the elegant demeanor of this world-shaking youth. Old Master Luo was stunned, not knowing what his granddaughter was going to do. While he was in a daze, Empress Dowager Yan Shi had already hurried over. "Let's go, Luo Tong, let's go welcome the guests." Evil Dr. Ghost Eye's name was like thunder in the 4 great sacred dynasties. With his medical skills and alchemy skills, as well as his status in the Black Field, he was already worthy of Empress Dowager Yan Shi and grandfather Luo personally going out to welcome him. Not to mention the fact that Elder Luo was able to successfully marry her was all thanks to this evil Dr. Gui Tong. Empress Dowager Yan Shi didn't believe that Ming Zun of the Black Field would help Master Luo and Luo Qingtong for no reason. It must be the work of this evil Dr. Gui Tong. She pulled Old Master Luo and quickly walked out of the hall. The latter did not know whether to laugh or cry. Only then did he remember that he had forgotten to tell Empress Dowager Yan Shi about Luo Qingtong's identity. The Queen Regent of Great Chu still didn't know that it was her granddaughter who had come. Old Master Luo pulled Empress Dowager Yan Shi back. Just as he was about to say something to her, the sound of a flying spirit boat came from the sky. Many air waves rolled. As everyone retreated, Luo Qingtong's voice was unusually clear and loud. "Entrusted by an old friend, evil Dr. Gui Tong has come to deliver a gift. Congratulations to the Empress Dowager of Great Chu and Empress Dowager Yan Shi for your marriage. I wish the two of you a happy and blissful marriage for 100 years and endless blessings," Luo Qingtong said as she waved her hand. Immediately, people from the Black Field came forward and handed the gift list to the ceremonial official in front of the Great Chu Imperial Palace. Chapter 846. Oh my God! Seeing the contents of the gift list, especially the last one, which was the most important, the chanting officer's hand trembled and he almost dropped the gift list in his hand. He tried to calm his mind and began to sing the gift list sent by Luo Qingtong. 100 bottles of mind-clearing elixir. 100 bottles of spirit-condensing elixir. 100 bottles of spirit-understanding elixir. The contents of the gift list were sung one after another, and the chanting officer's face became more and more excited. His voice became louder and louder. Even with the Chu sacred dynasty's deep foundation, they were shocked and excited by the pills and resources that Luo Qingtong had sent over. It was not because of anything else. It was because these elixirs were extremely precious. Even if the great Chu royal family had some resources, it was almost the same as what Luo Qingtong had sent. In other words, Luo Qingtong's gift list was almost the same as the collection of the great Chu sacred dynasty's royal family for so many years. Of course, this was talking about elixirs. The people around were also stunned. So many elixirs and resources. The evil Dr. Ghost Eye was too generous. It was said that the Luo family was very likely to be related to him, so Blackfield and Ming Zun would make a move. They did not expect it to be true. And the resources revealed by the evil Dr. Ghost Eye were also very frightening. The elixirs and resources revealed by her alone were almost the same as the resources of a sacred dynasty. She was comparable to a country alone. Not to mention that she had the support of a huge monster like the Blackfield behind her. Just as the people were shocked, they heard the chanting officer's voice suddenly tremble. Then the voice suddenly became incomparably sharp, as if to pierce the sky and go straight to the clouds. Bloodline Elixir, 1. Bloodline Elixir? What bloodline elixir? When the people heard this, they were all stunned. They had never heard of the bloodline elixir. What kind of elixir was that? Hearing the name, could it be that after taking this elixir, one could still have the power of the bloodline? How was this possible? The people thought so in their hearts and suddenly could not help but laugh. Only those who had surpassed the saint realm could inherit the power of the bloodline. Moreover, only the 4 royal families of the 4 great sacred dynasties had the ability to pass down the power of the bloodline from generation to generation. Wait a minute. 4 great sacred dynasties? Bloodline power? As everyone thought this, they immediately thought of Great Yong's 7th prince, who coveted the throne of Great Chu and was killed by grandfather Luo in Great Chu's imperial palace. It was said that after his death, even his corpse was unable to return to Great Yong. It was detained by Luo Qingtong. Could it be? Their gazes were all gathered on Luo Qingtong. The youth's jade-like hands were holding a jade box. That golden jade glass box entered everyone's eyes, causing them to tremble all over. The jade box was filled with multicolored light. Within it, a golden dragon silhouette was faintly discernible. The fate of Great Yong, the power of bloodline. Many people were shocked when they saw the strange phenomenon that appeared in the jade box. The golden dragon silhouette was the symbol and manifestation of the sacred dynasty's fate. The multicolored light was the manifestation of the bloodline power of the sacred dynasty's royal family. The bloodline elixir given by evil Dr. Gui Tong was the power of the bloodline extracted from Great Yong's 7th prince's body. Heavens! Evil Dr. Gui Tong actually had such a method? Chapter 847. Immediately, everyone looked at the young man standing on top of the spirit ship with an indescribable look of respect and fear. Especially those big families who also had bloodline inheritance, their eyes were filled with indescribable shock as they looked at Luo Qingtong. And even more people looked at the bloodline pill with an indescribable desire in their eyes. This was a bloodline pill condensed from the bloodline power of a Saint Realm expert of the imperial family. After taking it, one would immediately possess the bloodline power of the other party. Whether it was the eruption of strength or cultivation comprehension, they would far surpass ordinary people. And those experts who had limited talent and potential and were already stuck in a certain realm could immediately break through the shackles of their talent and continue to push their strength forward after taking this bloodline pill. With this bloodline pill, as long as one was not as stupid as a pig, they would be able to cultivate to the Saint realm in their lifetime. Not to mention that there was a trace of Great Yong's fate in it. With this trace of Great Yong's fate, the fate of one's forces in the future would be much more vigorous than before, and there would be a lot of talents and geniuses. Among the people present, even those big families and forces whose backgrounds were comparable to the imperial family of Great Chu, looked at the bloodline pill with a burning gaze. Old Master Luo and Empress Dowager Yan Shi were pleasantly surprised, especially Old Master Luo. Especially Elder Luo. He had never expected that his granddaughter would prepare such a huge gift for him without a word. The bloodline power and a trace of Great Yong's 7th prince's bloodline power. My God! With this bloodline pill, Old Master Luo's position in Great Chu would be as stable as Mount Tai in the future. No one could say that he had climbed the social ladder of Empress Dowager Yan Shi. After all, the merit of saving the throne of Great Chu might be forgotten by people one day. But that trace of Great Yong's fate and the bloodline power of Great Yong's 7th prince could not be forgotten. With this trace of Great Yong's fate and bloodline power, Old Master Luo was worthy of Empress Dowager Yan Shi. Thank you for the gift, evil Dr. Gui Tong. Even though he was very excited, Old Master Luo still paid attention to not expose his granddaughter's identity in public. After all, as Luo Qingtong created more and more miracles, her identity became more and more eye-catching. Naturally, Elder Luo could see the danger and glory that this represented. Unless Luo Qingtong announced her identity to the public, Grandfather Luo would never reveal her identity to the public. He wanted to protect his granddaughter well so that she wouldn't fall into someone else's trap. Seeing Grandfather Luo's thoughts, Luo Qingtong's lips curled up slightly under her Rakshasa mask. Her eyes were full of smiles. So this was her grandfather. It was the greatest warmth she had ever felt since she entered this strange world. You're too polite. Luo Qingtong jumped down from the spirit boat and handed the golden jade and glazed box to Grandfather Luo. Then, just as she was about to approach Grandfather Luo, a sudden change occurred. Attack! Along with this cold shout, a cold voice rang out. Among the surrounding guests, many of them rushed towards Luo Qingtong. Among them, there were many powerhouses from the royal families of powerful commanderies. There were also several Saint Realm experts. Evil Dr. Gui Tong, die. And that bloodline pill. Snatch it. Chapter 848. Seeing this scene, the eyes of many experts who had come to participate in the wedding banquet flickered. These people were obviously aiming for the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. It was unknown which power had set them up as pawns in the Great Chu. But the biggest possibility was that they were from Great Yong. After all, it was impossible for the Great Yong royal family to not know that the 7th prince's body had been refined and his bloodline had been extracted. Since they knew, they naturally had to think of a way to snatch it back. These people were probably pawns they had set up in the Great Chu. Using so many pawns and connections at once, Great Yong was probably determined to snatch the bloodline pill back. Not only that, they also wanted to kill Luo Qingtong, a person who dared to refine their royal bloodline, as a warning to others. If the bloodline pill was really snatched away, then these people, would they be able to reap the benefits? Just as they were thinking this, a figure suddenly appeared beside Luo Qingtong with a boom. He held Luo Qingtong's slender waist with one hand and pulled her into his embrace. In the next second, the silver-gray robe embroidered with gold suddenly flicked his sleeve. In an instant it was as if a dragon was swimming in golden light, illuminating the earth. The power that came out from the man's robe was extremely powerful and domineering. Almost with a flick, those experts who had already rushed to Luo Qingtong with sinister sneers, raised their hands to grab the jade box in her hand, or raised their hands to attack her, were all sent flying backwards by the force of this flick. Among them, there were even those Sage Realm experts who had brazenly attacked. They felt that victory was already in their hands this time and were prepared to kill and snatch the bloodline pill jade box in Luo Qingtong's hand in one blow before retreating immediately. At that time, they would be free to roam the world. No matter how powerful the black field was, they could just find a secluded and desolate mountain range to hide in. As long as they didn't come out, what could they do to them? However, the beauty of their imaginations was completely shattered by the power of the flick. Ah! The group of people screamed miserably as they flew backwards at a speed faster than when they were rushing towards Luo Qingtong. Those powerhouses below the Saint Realm were directly sent flying in the air by that blow. They screamed as they turned into ashes. Under the strength of that strike, it was not something they could resist. As for the Sage Realm experts, they spat out mouthfuls of blood. Despite using all their strength, they were still unable to stop themselves from flying backwards. Pooh! Rip! In the sky, the sound of the air being torn apart suddenly resounded. Rumble! The Saint Realm experts were sent flying. They collided with countless people and smashed heavily into the pillars and the ground, causing a series of loud noises and screams. Who gave you the guts to lay your hands on her? Following these tragic cries, an incomparably cold voice came from Luo Qingtong. The man held the young man's waist with one hand and pulled him close to him. The young man's slender figure contrasted sharply with the man's sturdiness. Both of them were dressed in enchanting red clothes, which contrasted well with the cold black clothes. When the enchanting young man and the cold and dignified man stood together, it was as if they were one-on-one. Even though everyone knew that they were of the same gender, they couldn't help but feel that the two of them were very compatible. Chapter 849. Seeing this scene, many people exclaimed in low voices. Rumors about Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian had been circulating among the four great sacred dynasties. It was said that Ming Zun had fallen in love with evil Dr. Gui Tong and did not hesitate to put down his status to pursue her. These were originally just rumors. Some people believed it, while others did not. However, at this moment, when everyone saw the two of them standing side by side, they all believed this rumor without prior consultation. Who could be so close to Ming Zun? And looking at how Yi Qianxian was clearly half-hugging Luo Qingtong, everyone felt that the rumors were not exaggerated at all. With Yi Qianren's attitude towards Luo Qingtong, it could be said that he loved her talent. But now that he was hugging her in such an open and ambiguous position, it was obvious that this was not something that could be explained by love. Ming Zun really did have the heart to split the peach with evil Dr. Gui Tong. No wonder this supreme of the Black Field had never been close to any woman for so many years. There were only two people by his side to serve him. Everyone looked at Bei Qing and Feng Yu who had appeared behind Yi Qianxian. The two of them felt their hair stand on end as everyone looked at them meaningfully. They wanted to cry but had no tears. Don't look at us like that. There is nothing between us and Master. The only ones who are not innocent are evil Doctor and Master. The two of them screamed crazily in their hearts, but they did not dare to say it out loud. Ming Zun. Seeing the silver-robed, black-haired man appear, the dark golden mask on his face shone with a cold golden light under the sunlight. The group of sage state experts who had brazenly attacked Luo Qingtong but were sent flying were extremely shocked. Everyone said that Ming Zun was very strong, but no one knew how strong he was. Only now did they know how strong Yi Qianxian was. They had attacked together to kill Luo Qingtong, but Yi Qianxian had easily resolved it. Not only that, with a casual wave of the other party's hand, they were sent flying without any strength to fight back. Strong. Too strong. The hearts of the group of people trembled. Almost instantly, they climbed up from the place where they had been smashed, and ran out with all their might. Run! Run! The group of people moved like the wind, each of them desperately using their own life-saving secret techniques. They wanted to escape Yi Qianxian's pursuit under such circumstances. However, the man only glanced at them and said coldly, Bei Qing, Feng Yu. Yes. The two of them stood up and respectfully nodded at Yi Qianxian. Master. Kill them all. Yes. Bei Qing and Feng Yu accepted the order and immediately rushed out. It was only when they made their move that the crowd realized how powerful the two men who had been serving Yi Qianxian were. Bang bang bang. Bei Qing's strength was strong and ferocious. Wherever he went, the sage state experts who wanted to escape with their severely injured bodies screamed as they were cut in half by the heavy sword in his hand. On the other hand, Feng Yu's body was as light as a feather. In an instant, he appeared in front of a sage state expert who wanted to escape. He flipped the folding fan in his hand and instantly took the life of the sage state expert. Boom boom boom. The two of them, one strong and one soft, killed the group of sage state experts who were about to escape in an instant. Seeing this scene, many people who had wanted to take advantage of Luo Qingtong's bloodline elixir turned pale. They secretly rejoiced that they had not taken advantage of the situation to take advantage of it. Chapter 850. The power of the Black Field's Hell Venerable was like this. As they thought in their hearts, they all lowered their heads in cold sweat. Yi Qianxian didn't even look at them. He only looked at Empress Dowager Yan Shi and Old Master Luo and said, I'll leave these people to you. I'll get people to give you all their information. His words meant that the forces behind these people would absolutely not be able to escape. The Black Domain's intelligence network was powerful enough to find out all 8 generations of their ancestors. Thank you, Hell Venerable. Even if they already knew that Great Yong was behind this, Empress Dowager Yan Shi and the others might not be able to find evidence. Now that they heard that Yi Qianxian was going to make a move, they were suddenly pleasantly surprised. Especially Empress Dowager Yan Shi, the ugly expression on her face eased. The scene just now was really too thrilling. Those who made a move were all experts from the Great Chu sacred dynasty. If they really succeeded, not only would they lose the bloodline pill, their Great Chu would also suffer heavy losses, and they would also have to face the anger of the Black Field. After all, looking at Yi Qianxian's attitude of protecting Luo Qingtong just now, who would believe that there was no ambiguous relationship between the two? Thinking so, even though Empress Dowager Yan Shi's temperament was calm, she was also scared out of cold sweat just now. Not to mention Old Master Luo, he almost couldn't restrain himself and rushed up to ask his granddaughter how she was. Fortunately, he still remembered that he couldn't casually expose his granddaughter's identity and had been restraining himself. But his eyes couldn't help but look at Luo Qingtong. People who didn't know would think that he had just married Empress Dowager Yan Shi and had taken a fancy to the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. Why are you here so soon? Luo Qingtong was held in Yi Qianxian's arms and asked with a smile. She sensed the man's presence the moment he appeared. She stood there motionlessly, waiting for him to appear. As for those experts of the Sage Realm, if they could still hurt her in front of this man, then the Black Field Hell Venerable would have long been replaced. Luo Qingtong had absolute confidence in this man's strength. Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows and said, those people must have thought that you would appear at the end or at the end. Therefore, when he saw her appear alone with the bloodline pill in her hand, he immediately had evil intentions. He wanted to hit the target with one strike and then immediately escape. It wasn't wrong for them to think that way. If Yi Qianxian wasn't here, Luo Qingtong wouldn't have been able to resist the combined strength of several Sage Realm experts. Unless Little Pig unsealed his strength, but that would instantly suck all of her strength dry and damage her foundation. My lord, thank you. Luo Qingtong looked up at Yi Qianxian with a smile. The Rakshasa ghost mask on her face was sinister and evil. Coupled with the curve of her lips, she had an indescribable evil charm. If you really want to thank me, I'll repay you with my body. Yi Qianxian snorted coldly. Just a word of thanks was enough? Did this woman think that his life-saving grace was so cheap? Luo Qingtong coughed lightly and was about to say something when Old Master Luo, who was standing at the side, could not help but step forward and ask, "Evil Dr. Ghost Eye, are you all right?" Meeting Grandfather Luo's concerned eyes, Luo Qingtong's heart felt warm. She immediately nodded and said, "I'm fine. Thank you for your concern, Grand Yao." She looked at Yi Qianxian and said with a smile, "May I know what gift the Lord has brought for Grand Yao and Empress Dowager Yanxi?" It was inauspicious for something like this to happen at a wedding. Luo Qingtong didn't want her grandparents' wedding to be ruined. Chapter 851. With Luo Qingtong's question, everyone's eyes immediately focused on Yi Qianxian. They didn't know what kind of gift this supreme black field had prepared. The members of the Chu imperial family had already come out to clean up the mess. Yi Qianxian snorted softly and glanced at Luo Qingtong, knowing that she was using him to divert everyone's attention. However, he did come this time to give gifts to Empress Dowager Yanxi and Old Master Luo, so he didn't say anything. Moreover, the young girl was in his arms, Luo Qingtong's slender waist was held in his hands and embraced in his arms. Yi Qianxian's expression didn't show it on his face, but he was very happy in his heart. He turned a blind eye to Luo Qingtong's little thoughts. "Feng Yu," he called in a low voice. His voice was faint and cold. Immediately, the chief protector who was always by his side stepped forward. He respectfully bowed to Old Master Luo and Empress Dowager Yanxi, saying, "Congratulations to choose Empress Dowager Yanxi and Empress Dowager Yanxi for 100 years of blissful marriage. Year after year, forever after, never let each other down." When he said this, he suddenly took a step forward and took out the gift list he had prepared long ago. He raised it high above his head and presented it to Old Master Luo, saying, "This is my master's congratulatory gift to Empress Dowager Yanxi and Empress Dowager Yanxi." The announcer standing beside Old Master Luo hurriedly took the gift list from him. However, he had just opened it and glanced at it when he was instantly dumbfounded. Clack! His hand couldn't hold it steady, and the gift list fell to the ground in an instant. Old Master Luo glanced down and was instantly stunned as if he had been struck by lightning. This gift is too great." Old Master Luo's voice trembled, and his entire body couldn't help but tremble. Feng Yu smiled but didn't say anything. With Old Master Luo's relationship and status with the evil doctor, he should accept this gift. Moreover, this gift was frightening in the eyes of outsiders, but it was nothing to the black field. If it weren't for the fact that the identity of the evil doctor had not been exposed yet, his master would have given him an even bigger gift. While Grandfather Luo's voice was trembling, the announcer on the other side hurriedly picked up the gift list and shouted excitedly, "Black Field has sent a gift. One Black Field main city. From now on, the Black Field's main city in the Great Chu Sacred Dynasty has changed hands. Luo Tong, Old Master Luo, is the master of Great Chu Black Field. All the forces of the Black Field's main city stationed in the Great Chu Sacred Dynasty will belong to Elder Luo. Furthermore, as long as Luo Tong is still alive, the forces of the Black Field will not set foot in Great Chu." As the reciter's voice rang out, the entire Great Chu Imperial Palace instantly fell silent. All the forces that had come to attend the wedding banquet looked at the gift list in the hands of the announcer in shock. A gift of a city. That was the main city of the Black Field. Overseeing the Great Chu Sacred Dynasty, it was the center of the Black Field's forces in the Great Chu Sacred Dynasty. Not only that, but all the forces in it were also taken over by Grandfather Luo. How powerful was a main city that encompassed the entire Great Chu Sacred Dynasty? Perhaps this main city was enough to make Grandfather Luo and the entire Luo family become a first-rate force in Great Chu, enough to be on equal footing with the royal family. Oh my God! The Black Field's Ming Zun was really amazing when he did not make a move. This was truly a heaven-shaking extravagance. And the people of Great Chu's royal family were even more delighted. All the forces of the Black Field in Great Chu were taken over by grandfather Luo, and the latter had married Empress Dowager Yan Shi. Didn't this mean that this huge force would be a part of the royal family's forces in the future? Chapter 852. Everyone looked at the gift list in shock. Empress Dowager Yan Shi was also stunned by Yi Qianxian's generous gift. If the Black Field's Ming Zun stood up for Master Luo before because he was giving face to the evil Dr. Gui Tong, then what was this gift all about? If it was because of the evil Dr. Gui Tong, then the other party's face was too big, right? And, what was the relationship between the other party and the Luo family? Grandpa Luo was also shocked. He didn't take the rumors seriously at all. The Black Field's Ming Zun took a fancy to his granddaughter, haha. That was simply impossible. Like others, Master Luo also thought that it must be because his granddaughter had a partnership with the Black Field, so the Black Field's Ming Zun helped them again and again. But now, it seemed that it didn't make sense. Master Luo's face was full of shock. He looked at Luo Qingtong and then at Yi Qianming, his face full of shock. Luo Qingtong was helpless. She glared at the man in front of her. Look at how you scared my grandpa. Luo Qingtong originally wanted to find a good opportunity to tell Master Luo. But now, with Yi Qianming's actions, she didn't have to explain so much. If it wasn't for her, how could this man do so much? This gift seemed to be for Master Luo, but in fact, it was to make her feel at ease. With the Black Field's influence in the Chu dynasty, plus the bloodline pill she prepared for Master Luo. Whether it was strength or influence, Master Luo would no longer be looked down upon. No one could say that Master Luo married Empress Dowager Yan Shi because he was climbing up the social ladder of the Chu dynasty. No one would say that he married Empress Dowager Yan Shi because of the Chu dynasty's royal family. Luo Qingtong wanted Master Luo to live openly in the Chu dynasty. No one dared to talk about his identity. Now, Yi Qianming helped her do it. If the bloodline pill Luo Qingtong gave Master Luo increased his strength, then no one could talk nonsense about it. At the same time, the trace of Great Yong's national destiny made the Chu dynasty's royal family not dare to treat Master Luo too badly. Then Yi Qianming would give old Master Luo the greatest confidence and support. The leader of all the Black Field's forces in the Chu dynasty was enough to be comparable to any big family in the Chu dynasty. At the same time, with this gift from Yi Qianming, everyone knew that the relationship between the Luo family and the Dark Region wasn't shallow. At least, it wasn't something that could be easily touched or ridiculed. After today, everyone from the big forces would know that Grandfather Luo was not to be trifled with. This man was really, Luo Qingtong looked at Yi Qianming with bright eyes. Ever since her previous life, she had always been working hard on her own. Whatever she wanted, she got it through her own efforts. This was the first time someone took the initiative to give her all of his things and let her take whatever she wanted. Whether she said it or not, the other party would do the best for her. Luo Qingtong gently covered her heart, feeling the rapid and intense beating inside. She looked at Yi Qianming with eyes that were shining brightly. Why are you looking at me like this? Yi Qianming looked straight into Luo Qingtong's eyes. The way the girl looked at him was like a queen looking at her favorite treasure, wanting to completely embed it into her soul. Chapter 853. He liked it when this woman looked at him like this, as if she wanted to plunder his entire being and soul. Yi Qianming knew that Luo Qingtong was the same as him deep down. The more the girl looked at him like this, the more she wanted to control him, which meant that she cared about him. Luo Qingtong, you can't escape. Yi Qianming's lips curled up slightly, and he tightened his grip on Luo Qingtong's slender waist. If it weren't for the wrong occasion, he would have kissed Luo Qingtong long ago. But even so, he looked at Luo Qingtong with a burning gaze. Their gazes collided in the air, and there was an indescribable affection mixed with an inexplicable contest of strength. You win this time. Yi Qianming's gift was much bigger than hers. But, I will have a chance to win against you in the future. At that time, she would press this man under her body. I'll wait for you. The smile on Yi Qianming's lips became even more intense. The people around him who had never seen him smile before let out a suppressed cry of surprise. Once again, they understood the position of the evil Dr. Ghost Eye in his heart. One must know that this Supreme of the Black Field had always been famous for being cold and ruthless. Not to mention laughing, he wouldn't even have the slightest emotional fluctuation. Yi Qianming didn't stay long at the wedding banquet before leaving. His identity was too important, and the atmosphere was too oppressive if he stayed. More importantly, with his identity, he had to sit at the top and enjoy the newlyweds kneeling down to him. How could Yi Qianming let Luo Qingtong's grandfather kneel down to him? He immediately left after giving the gift. But he left Bei Qing and Feng Yu behind to attend the wedding banquet on his behalf. This was enough to give old Master Luo face, so the people didn't dare to look down on the latter. Luo Qingtong left with him. Then she changed back to Luo Qingtong's identity and returned to the banquet. After all, with her identity, it wouldn't be right if she didn't attend this wedding banquet. The wedding banquet lasted for several hours. Only when dusk had fallen and the sky had set in the west did they leave. As for the bridal chamber, who would dare to disturb the Empress Dowager's bridal chamber? Moreover, they were all leaders of major forces, so such things were not popular. Qingtong, Luo Laoi sent Luo Qingtong all the way out of the Great Chu Imperial Palace. Along the way, he wanted to say something but stopped. Luo Qingtong could see his worries and apprehensions. She couldn't help but laugh. Well, Grandpa, I know what you want to say. Was it about Yi Qianming? Don't worry, I know what to do. Old Master Luo's heart skipped a beat. His granddaughter actually called Ming Zun by his title so casually. Between the two of them, as expected, sigh. Grandpa is old. When Grandfather Luo said this, he remembered that he had already regained his youth. He suddenly felt embarrassed and quickly said, My heart is old. As for the matter between you and Ming Zun, it's fine as long as you know your limits. Grandpa is just worried about you. The reputation of the Black Field's Ming Zun was too resounding, and his strength was too strong. Grandfather Luo was worried that his granddaughter would be wronged in the end. When Luo Qingtong heard this, before she could speak, a figure instantly appeared beside her. There's nothing to worry about. This Zun will not let her suffer any grievances. The man's figure slowly appeared in the night. That voice was exceptionally sonorous and clear. When Luo Qingtong heard this, she immediately turned her head and looked at the man who appeared beside her. Chapter 854. Swish. That golden light swept towards Luo Qingtong and was quickly caught in her hand. The girl frowned slightly. This golden light was a message she had specially left for Yen Nyang and the others. And it was an enhanced version that she had improved. She had previously told Yen Nyang and the others not to use it unless it was an emergency. Could it be that they had encountered something in the main city of the Black Field of the Empire of Qin? Luo Qingtong was thinking when suddenly Bei Qing and Feng Yu appeared beside Yi Qianming. Master. There is a message from the main city of the Black Field. The evil doctors leave from the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin has encountered some problems. As the two spoke, they looked at Luo Qingtong. Yi Qianming had previously told everyone in the Black Field that anything related to Luo Qingtong was his business. Therefore, as soon as the main city of the Black Field received the message from the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin, they immediately passed it on. The Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin? Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows. She opened the message in her hand and read it. It also said that Luo Qingtong should hurry back to the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin as soon as possible. After reading the content, Luo Qingtong frowned. The Great Elder of the Holy Academy? He wants me to rush back within 3 days and increase my strength by 1 level. Otherwise, he will expel me and Ling Tianhan from the Holy Academy? What is the background of this Great Elder of the Holy Academy? Luo Qingtong's expression turned serious. Her leave was approved by the Grand Dean. And looking at the situation, even the Grand Dean couldn't stop him. Yi Qianming also learned the ins and outs of the matter from Beiqing and Fengyu. He immediately said, he is the Great Elder of the Holy Academy's Elders Guild. If he speaks, all the Elders Guild will agree. The Grand Principal is indeed unable to turn the tide by himself. However, it said that some time ago, he went out to travel because he had comprehended something in his cultivation. He won't be back for a year. When Yi Qianming said this, Luo Qingtong suddenly remembered the agreement she made with the Grand Principal. The other party also asked her to come back after a year. Could it be that it wasn't just because of that grand event? Was it because of the Great Elder of the Saint Academy? As Luo Qingtong was thinking, Fengyu's voice rang out. This Grand Elder of the Sacred Academy is very stubborn and inflexible. They were the most protective of traditions and rules. We've investigated it. It seems that someone deliberately contacted the first elder of the Sacred Academy and called him back from his travels. Hearing this, Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. You mean, someone deliberately made things difficult and called back the first elder who was not supposed to be in the Saint Academy? They want me and Ling Tianhan to be expelled from the Saint Academy? We can't rule out this possibility. Fengyu said. He looked at Luo Qingtong and said, we found out that the person who contacted the first elder of the Saint Academy is most likely Yu Wenma's teacher, the great teacher of the Soul Academy. And the reason should be to avenge Yu Wenma for the destruction of the Yu family. Fengyu lowered his head and reported. The more he spoke, the more he felt Yi Qianming's gaze on him. But he had to bite the bullet and continue. He doesn't dare to target you, so he must want to vent his anger on the Ling siblings. Through your absence for so many days, he kicked the Ling siblings and the people of the Tianyu Branch Academy out. After all, Ling Tianhan's talent is not weak. At this point, Fengyu lowered her head completely. Chapter 855. Yu Wenmo. This name instantly made Luo Qingtong's eyes turn cold. She was prepared to go back to the Empire of Qin's Sacred Academy and ask him to break off the engagement. But she didn't expect the other party to be so restless. She hadn't done anything yet and he made a move first. Especially when he didn't know that she was the evil Dr. Gui Tong. He only knew that she was Luo Qingtong, but he didn't hesitate to sacrifice her in order to take revenge on the Ling siblings. He didn't care that she was his fiancée at all. Luo Qingtong really felt sorry for the original owner. Let's go back. Yu Wenmo wanted to take revenge on the Yuan family, right? She wanted to see who would take revenge on whom. The Luo family and the original owner's debt, she would settle it with him one by one. Luo Qingtong originally wanted to break off the engagement, but since Yu Wenmo wasn't willing, they could play slowly. Time is too tight, your spirit boat won't be able to make it in time. Yi Qianming's expression was indifferent. He wasn't wrong. The news came from the Empire of Qin's Sacred Academy and was taken over by the Black Field. It had already been a day or two since they received the news. Even if Luo Qingtong was on the best spirit boat, it was absolutely impossible for her to rush from the Great Chu Sacred Academy to the Empire of Qin's Sacred Academy. The distance between the two sacred academies was more than thousands of mountains and rivers. When he said this, Luo Qingtong instantly realized the problem. This was troublesome. She frowned. Since the great elder of the Sacred Academy was so stubborn, then if she didn't arrive on time, Ling Tianhan and the others would definitely be stripped of their heaven-grade status and driven out of the Empire of Qin's Sacred Academy. At that time, even if he rushed back later, he was afraid that it would be of no use. Luo Qingtong thought of this and frowned. At this time, Yi Qianming's voice sounded. "Hold me tight." Luo Qingtong heard this and unconsciously hugged him tightly. In the next second, Yi Qianming waved his sleeve and with a bang, the space in front of him collapsed. In an instant, Luo Qingtong's vision turned black. Then, the two of them disappeared from the spot. At the same time, in the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin. Bang! Little Overlord Yuan slammed his fist on the table in front of him. Damn it! Yuan Mo and the others have gone too far. They had heard that the first elder of the Sacred Academy had ordered Luo Qingtong to come back within 3 days. Otherwise, her leave would be cancelled and all of them would be driven out of the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin. Little Tyrant Yuan and the others weren't afraid of being kicked out. After all, they were able to enter the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin because of Luo Qingtong. But Luo Qingtong, boss, she mustn't be chased out. The Empire of Qin's Holy Academy was the best academy in the Empire of Qin's Holy Dynasty. There were so many resources here, and they were so good that they were much better than those clans outside. Not only that, there were many strong people here who taught all kinds of knowledge. It was much better than learning on their own outside. They had only been here for a while, but they could clearly feel that their strength had improved. If Boss was here, wouldn't her strength increase be even more terrifying? But all of this was about to be destroyed by Yuan Mo and the others. Thinking of the arrogant and humiliating faces of Yuan Mo and the others in front of them, Little Tyrant Yuan and the others all gritted their teeth. Big Brother and I will kneel and beg for mercy in front of Yuan Mo. No matter how they humiliate us, we won't fight back. As long as they ask the first elder of the Sacred Academy to cancel this decision. Ling Yu gritted her teeth. Chapter 856. As the eldest daughter of Duke Ling, Ling Yu was arrogant. But now, she was willing to let this arrogance be trampled on. If they had known that Yuan Ma and the others would use such unscrupulous means to deal with them, they would have bowed their heads no matter how unwilling they were. Luo Qingtong gave them a new life, saved their family, and gave the Ling family a path to heaven. If they caused Luo Qingtong to be unable to study at the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin and lose the best opportunity to cultivate, how could they face the Ling family? Yes. Ling Tianhan also clenched his fists and said in a low voice. All of this started because of us siblings. Let's go and beg Yuan Ma and the others to let Qingtong go. As he spoke, he walked out with his sword. Just as he stood up, Yuan Little Tyrant pressed him down. Are you stupid? Yuan Little Tyrant glared at them. What's the use of begging them now? They won't let you go. Not to mention now, they wouldn't even let you go before. Didn't you hear what that bastard Yuan Ma said? He wants to kick us out of the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. Then, he can crush us to death at any time. Not only will they cut off our path to cultivation, they can also torture us to death. Even if you go and beg them, they won't stop after torturing you. Why do you want to be humiliated by them? If Boss knows, she definitely won't agree. Sima Qi nodded slightly and said in a deep voice, Yuan Hu is right. It's useless for you to beg them like this. You're just asking to be humiliated. As he was talking, Su Xiaoxiao's timid voice sounded next to him. I'll go and beg the pharmacist. Her eyes were red, as if she had just cried, but her voice was unusually firm. Boss's strength isn't something they can imagine. She will definitely become stronger in the outside world. First Elder's 3-day agreement isn't fair. Boss isn't even within the borders of the Empire of Qin. How could she make it back in time? I'll go ask the pharmacist and ask him to plead with the Great Elder. It doesn't matter if we're kicked out, but boss must not be expelled. Su Xiaoxiao had already gained a firm foothold in the pharmaceutical courtyard. She listened to Luo Qingtong's advice and took a different path. Her alchemy talent was completely developed. As of now, the number of medicinal liquids that could be mixed and stacked together had already reached more than 10. The instructors of the Pharmaceutical Institute all regarded her as a genius and cherished her greatly. Even the great teacher of the Medicine Institute had proposed to take her in as his last disciple. That was an existence at the level of a saint alchemist, and he was currently breaking through to become an alchemist. Su Xiaoxiao refused. In her eyes, only Luo Qingtong, the girl who awakened her talent and rescued her from the path of trash, was her companion and mentor. She would not accept the teachings of others. Because in her eyes, no one else could compare to Luo Qingtong. Those instructors who regarded her as a peerless genius hadn't seen how powerful boss was. Otherwise, they definitely wouldn't think so. However, at this time, for Luo Qingtong, Su Xiaoxiao was willing to go to the pharmacist and ask him to help speak to the great elder of the Sacred Institute so that Luo Qingtong wouldn't be expelled. It's useless. Sima Qi shook his head silently. The great elder has the Sacred Institute's council of elders behind him. The pharmacist is already doing his best to protect you. There's no way he can protect boss. This time, the great elder clearly wanted to make an example out of them. This time, it wasn't just Yuan Ma who wanted to use this opportunity to deal with them. The Sacred Ancestors' Council of Elders also wanted to use this opportunity to weaken the strength of the Grand Dean's faction. Unless boss hurried back, this was a dead end. Chapter 857. A group of people barged in from the outside. What are you doing? Little Tyrant Yuan and the others turned around and saw the group of people barging in. Their faces immediately turned cold. What are we doing? The leader of the group of people who barged in looked indifferent. He suddenly raised his eyebrows and said, "Of course we're chasing you out." "That's right." Another person in green standing next to that person snorted and said, "Yuan who, other than Su Xiaoxiao and Sima Qi, the rest of you don't have the right to stay in the Heavenly Hall. Especially you, Ling Tianhan. Cripples should have been kicked out of the Heavenly Hall long ago. If you guys somehow managed to get close to the Grand Dean, you wouldn't have the right to set foot in the Heavenly Hall." "That's right." As soon as that person spoke, another person also said coldly, "We've long wanted to chase you guys out for tarnishing the Heavenly Hall's reputation. If others saw you guys, they would think that the people of the Heavenly Hall of the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin are trash and useless. You're really letting any Tom, Dick, and Harry into the Heavenly Hall. The Grand Dean is indeed old and useless." As soon as the other party said this, Little Tyrant Yuan and the others' faces changed instantly. "How dare you speak ill of the Grand Dean?" The Grand Dean had always protected them and Luo Qingtong. He also tried his best to deal with them during the 3-day agreement. However, when the Grand Elder returned, the Elders Guild immediately made things difficult. With the Academy's rules, the Grand Dean could do nothing. He was also seriously questioned because of this matter, saying that the Grand Dean's faction was a joke of the Sacred Academy. They didn't deserve to be the Dean. They wanted to impeach them. They wanted to abolish the Dean and Grand Dean's duties. Little Tyrant Yuan and the others knew about this. Therefore, it wasn't that the Grand Dean was unwilling to help them, but that someone wanted to use this matter to bring down the Dean and the others. Little Tyrant Yuan and the others were furious when they heard the other party speak ill of the Grand Dean in public. The other party definitely saw that the Grand Dean and the others were about to lose power. That was why they were so unscrupulous. Don't talk so much nonsense with them. They probably think that the Grand Dean can save them. Unfortunately, the leader sneered. Throw all their belongings out. Chase him out of the Heavenly Hall. After noon tomorrow, if Luo Qingtong can't make it back in time, we'll kick them all out. Xiaofan. Don't go too far. Little Tyrant Yuan and the others were enraged. Humph. Too much. In any case, all of you are going to be kicked out of the holy court. What's wrong with that? The leader, Xiaofan, sneered. They were a group of people from the heavenly palace of the Sacred Academy who followed Yuan Ma's lead. These people were all disciples of the major clans of the Empire of Qin dynasty. He wasn't the most favored in the family, but he wasn't weak either. When they heard little Overlord Yuan and the others' words, they all laughed loudly. Ling Tianhan, do you really think you can turn the tide? Unless that Luo Qingtong can travel through time and space, it's impossible for her to make it back in time. Just wait to be driven out of the Empire of Qin. Swoosh. While Xiaofan and the others were ridiculing little Tyrant Yuan and the others, in the city lord mansion of the Black Field of the Empire of Qin, a thunderous roar tore through the sky. Chapter 858. Tearing the void and crossing with your body? Luo Qingtong's eyes sparkled as she looked at the man who was hugging her. Yi Qianming's strength was beyond her imagination. Just how strong was this man? No wonder he said that he didn't need to pass through the hidden world when he came from the outer realm. Yi Qianming's expression was indifferent. With his current strength, he needed to save up for a long time before he could use this move. And after using it this time, he would need to wait for a long time before he could use it again. The main reason was that his strength had not recovered yet. If he had his previous strength, he could tear the void at will and ignore the continent's barriers and rules. The world's laws in the true Spill continent could not restrain him at all. He didn't need to use the power of the Blackfield City Lord Mansion as a medium to cross the void like now. Go, we are already in the Empire of Qin. One day is enough for you to reach the holy court of the Empire of Qin from here. He let go of the girl in his arms. Luo Qingtong nodded and then looked at him with some worry. Are you, okay? The man took her through the void. She didn't know if he used too much power and damaged his meridians. I'm fine. Yi Qianming shook his head lightly. There is an array in the Blackfield City Lord Mansion that I specially drew. It can sense my power and receive it. Luo Qingtong heard him say this and immediately looked around. Sure enough, she sensed many array patterns that had just dissipated. With such a huge power as a guide, Yi Qianming should be fine. Luo Qingtong's heart calmed down. Okay. Then I'll go first. Luo Qingtong said and her lips curled up. She raised her head and kissed the man's lips. Then in the next second, her figure flashed and instantly swept out like a gust of wind and butterfly wings. Her voice was like a silver bell. This is a thank you gift. Touching the marks on his lips, he felt the soft and moist touch of Luo Qingtong's lips on his own. The color in Yi Qianming's eyes deepened. But soon, the expression in his eyes turned cold. Shua. He raised his hand, and a golden light appeared in his hand. This was a message that had suddenly flown over when he was passing through the void with Luo Qingtong. The Lord of the Southern region has come bearing gifts. My lord, please return quickly. As Yi Qianming raised his hand, the information in the golden light was instantly revealed. Lord of the Southern region. Yi Qianming's eyes narrowed. He raised his hand and crushed the golden light. With a wave of his body, he disappeared from the main city of the Black Field of the Empire of Qin without alerting anyone. Whoosh! Luo Qingtong rushed out of the Castellan's mansion in the main city of the Empire of Qin. She was still in the disguise of the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. Even if the people of the Black Field of the Empire of Qin didn't know how Luo Qingtong appeared in their Castellan's mansion, they didn't dare to stop this person who was placed at the top of their lord's heart. Luo Qingtong smoothly left the Castellan's mansion in the main city of the Empire of Qin. After thinking for a while, she rushed to the place where Yen Nyang and the others were. She wanted to ask Yen Nyang about the situation in the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin, and at the same time, restore her original identity there. Otherwise, it would be too eye-catching to leave the city in the disguise of the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. Luo Qingtong knew that as more and more abilities were revealed in her identity, more and more major forces were looking for her, hoping that she would be alone. With the Black Field, these people didn't dare to touch her openly, but it didn't mean that they wouldn't do it secretly. Chapter 859. Swish. Luo Qingtong's figure rushes towards the place where Yen Nyang and the rest are. Before Yen Nyang came to the Black Field's main city of the Empire of Qin, she told her where the place is. Luo Qingtong's figure quickly appears in front of that huge building. That place is located in the center of the Black Field's main city of the Empire of Qin. There are people coming and going all around, all of whom are here to buy elixirs and medicinal liquids. Luo Qingtong will provide Yen Nyang with a batch of medicinal liquids every once in a while, and it depends on whether she is willing to accept the elixirs or not. If she is willing to accept the elixirs, she will let the people of the Black Field give it to Yen Nyang after refining it. Evil Dr. Ghost Eye. Seeing Luo Qingtong's figure appear, there is a burst of low cries from all around. Master. Seeing Luo Qingtong appear, the battle slave experts who are responsible for guarding the shop are pleasantly surprised. A group of people is walking into the shop. At this moment, a burst of noise suddenly comes from the front of the shop. Get out of the way, get out of the way. Along with these rough voices, a group of fully armed soldiers with incomparably cold auras suddenly pass through the shop opened by Yen Nyang and the rest. Humph! What evil Dr. Ghost Eye's medicinal liquids, what unparalleled medical skills. The medicinal liquids sold in our Martial King's shop are not inferior to this at all. What evil doctor name, it's just a bluff. That's right. Get out of the way, a group of people who don't know what is good and what is bad. They are really blind. A large group of soldiers swaggered through the shop. A battle slave expert looks and immediately says angrily, "These bastards, it's starting again." The other people also have a burst of anger on their faces. Luo Qingtong looks and asks, "What's going on?" It was obvious that those soldiers were here to deal with him. Or it could be said that they are targeting Yen Nyang and the rest. Master, you don't know. After we came to the Empire of Qin's Black Field, the Empire of Qin's King Wu also started selling medicinal liquids in the Black Field. It's not far from the left side of our shop. A battle slave expert raised his hand and pointed at a majestic and splendid building not far away. Their shops aren't inferior to ours, and the medicinal liquids they sell are also similar. Ever since they started selling medicinal liquids, soldiers from the army would often come to cause trouble, saying that your medicinal liquids can't compare to the medicinal liquids bought from their shops. When the battle slave expert said this, he was extremely angry. These soldiers were clearly using their master's reputation as a stepping stone to climb up the ranks. They were trying to increase the reputation of their shop's medicinal liquid. It was simply infuriating. However, they didn't come to cause trouble. They only said disgusting things outside, and the Black Field couldn't do anything about it. Coming here a few times a day, it was really disgusting. King Wu of the Empire of Qin. Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows. No matter how she looked at it, the other party seemed to be deliberately competing with Yen Nyang and the rest. And it was in a way that trampled on her reputation. Was it a coincidence, or, Luo Qingtong slightly squints her eyes. At this moment, Yen Nyang and the rest came out to greet her. Master. Luo Qingtong looks at the group of stewards behind her and raises her eyebrows. Are you discussing something? If it's very important, don't worry about me. I'll wait outside for a while. It's fine. Yen Nyang shakes her head and lets the group of stewards leave first. It's about King Wu of the Empire of Qin. I haven't figured it out yet. Yan Yang says and then asks, Master, are you here for the matter of the Holy Institute of the Empire of Qin? Chapter 860. If this was just a legitimate business competition, Luo Qingtong naturally wouldn't care about him. But if he was deliberately targeting her and the forces under her command, just as Luo Qingtong's eyes slightly narrow, Yan Yang spits out a name that she didn't expect. I can't find out the specifics. I only know that it was refined by a person called Heavenly Doctor Divine Hand. I previously heard from people in the Black Field that this Heavenly Doctor Divine Hand provoked you in the Black Field's main city of the Great Chu dynasty. He lost to you in a competition of medicinal skills? Yan Yang oversaw the main city of the Black Field's main city of the Empire of Qin. Luo Qingtong's status in the Black Field wasn't ordinary, so naturally, she was more well-informed than the average person. She quickly found out about what happened in the main city of the Black Field of the Great Chu dynasty. Yes. Luo Qingtong lightly nodded her head. That's right. So she's the person behind King Wu of the Empire of Qin? No wonder the other party would go against us. After figuring out the reason, Luo Qingtong's fingers suddenly stopped tapping on the table. The next time King Wu of the Empire of Qin's people come to make trouble, don't think of any other way. I didn't give you that platinum token just for show. And I didn't ask you to use it for any convenience in the main city of the Black Field of the Empire of Qin. The next time you encounter such a thing, directly take out the platinum token and chase all those people who said those disgusting words in front of our shop out of the main city of the Black Field of the Empire of Qin. If they don't want to leave, directly break their legs and throw them out. At the same time, forever ban their right to come to the Black Field. Luo Qingtong's voice was cold. She, the evil Dr. Ghost Eye, was never a person who was easy to bully. Others might have scruples about their reputation, and under the circumstances where King Wu of the Empire of Qin's people didn't directly cause trouble, it wasn't good for them to make a move. But what was she afraid of? The Empire of Qin's King Wu's men came in batches. She wanted to see just how many men the Empire of Qin's King Wu had that she could beat. If he has the ability, then he should bring out all the troops of the Empire of Qin. But I'm afraid he doesn't have that ability. Not to mention, the Empire of Qin's Black Field was the place where the major forces of the Empire of Qin traded and obtained resources. Only in this neutral city that was under the jurisdiction of Underworld Zune and had absolute deterrence and fairness, would those big forces and big families dare to do those big transactions that involve huge amounts of money and precious resources. The Empire of Qin's King Wu's army had been banned from entering the main city of the Black Field. The Empire of Qin's King Wu's army had been overthrown. She wanted to see how long he, the king of martial arts of the Empire of Qin, could cover the sky with one hand and run amok. Yes. Hearing Luo Qingtong's words, Yan Yang hurriedly responded happily. She had just gathered everyone to discuss for a long time, but they still couldn't come up with a good way to deal with the Empire of Qin's King Wu. After all, the other party's influence in the Empire of Qin's holy dynasty wasn't weak. When the crown prince was depressed, he was like the sun in the sky. In the future, the Empire of Qin's crown prince might be this person. In the situation where the other party didn't directly cause trouble, even if Yan Yang had Luo Qingtong's platinum token in her hands, it wouldn't be good for Luo Qingtong to directly make such an enemy. In particular, she was afraid that others would say that they used the platinum token to do whatever they wanted, and she was afraid that it would bring trouble to Luo Qingtong. But now, it seemed that Luo Qingtong wasn't afraid at all. Following such a domineering master, Yan Yang only felt an indescribable exaltation in her heart. Chapter 861. Yan Yang was indeed clever. Her methods were superb. She quickly thought of a way to carry out Luo Qingtong's orders better. Tomorrow, I will invite the main city of the Empire of Qin's Black Field to come as guests. At that time, I will invite the people of the Empire of Qin's King of Wu to come and abuse us. The rest will naturally be decided by the people of the Black Field and the Empire of Qin." After Yan Nyang finished speaking, Luo Qingtong immediately glanced at her. What a good plan to kill with a borrowed knife. If the people of the Empire of Qin's King of Wu really fell into this pit, they really wouldn't be able to climb up. At that time, they could only obediently come and apologize. Moreover, Luo Qingtong's side could refuse to accept it. She would first tidy up the people of the Empire of Qin's King of Wu. At that time, when the King of the Empire of Qin appeared, she would properly tidy up the other side. Not only was she in the right, but she also vented her anger. Such a clever mind. She could see through it with just a little bit. Who knows what family Yan Nyang was from? Luo Qingtong didn't think that ordinary people in the marketplace could have such superb skills and communication skills. She and Chu Lingfeng, that blockhead's identity was definitely not ordinary. However, this had nothing to do with Luo Qingtong. As long as they were loyal to her, she would protect them. In the future, if they wanted to take revenge, they would take revenge. If they didn't want to take revenge, they would live under her wings. As long as they were loyal to her, she would naturally give them stability. As for their private matters, Luo Qingtong wouldn't ask anything. Who didn't have their own secrets? Luo Qingtong nodded, "Okay. We will do as you say. If you encounter such a situation in the future, you can make your own arrangements. You don't need to worry about me. If you really feel that it's hard to choose, just send me a message." Also, Luo Qingtong's hands were lightly clasped together. Her 10 fingers were intertwined, and her fingers were lightly tapping the back of her hand. Pay attention to any news about this heavenly doctor at all times. If there's even the slightest bit of news, let me know. This person had repeatedly clashed with Luo Qingtong. What happened in the Great Chu Imperial Palace could still be considered an accident. However, the main city of the Black region in the Great Chu dynasty was obviously here for her. Moreover, she seemed to have improper thoughts about Yi Qianxian. This time, he appeared in the Empire of Qin's holy dynasty and stood behind King Wu of the Empire of Qin. Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed slightly. For some reason, she thought of King Ning of the Great Chu sacred dynasty. The latter had also used the hands of the heavenly doctor to poison Empress Dowager Yan Shi of Great Chu. If it wasn't for Luo Qingtong going to find old man Luo at that time, Empress Dowager Yan Shi would have been plotted against. At that time, the Great Chu dynasty could only be controlled by King Ning. And now, the Empire of Qin's King Wu and the Crown Prince were fighting for the throne. Behind this, there was also the figure of this heavenly doctor. This matter couldn't help but be thought-provoking. Luo Qingtong thought of when she met Crown Prince Ma Chenyi before. The latter's body had the aura of a dying dragon, the technique of seizing luck. It couldn't be this heavenly doctor's doing, right? If this was the case, she would have to become enemies with her again. After all, the Crown Prince had given her medicine before, and that bloodline power fusion technique was enough to make Luo Qingtong take action for him. If this heavenly doctor was behind this, Luo Qingtong would have to confront her again. Thinking so, the corners of Luo Qingtong's lips suddenly curled up. Yes. Yan Nyang nodded. Now, tell me about the Empire of Qin's Holy Academy. What's going on? Who sent you the news? The Grand Dean? Chapter 862. Yes, Yan Nyang nodded and told Luo Qingtong everything that happened in the Saint Institute of the Empire of Qin. She had received a message from the Grand Dean. Since she was in the Empire of Qin, it was very convenient for her to gather information. In less than 15 minutes, Luo Qingtong knew everything. She also knew about Su Xiaoxiao and Yuanhu's situation in the Saint Institute of the Empire of Qin. She left in a hurry and didn't ask Bei Qing and Feng Yu about it. So, the Grand Elder of the Saint Institute was really invited back by someone? Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. Bei Qing and Feng, you were right. Yes. That's what the Grand Dean said. He also said that this time, someone is not only targeting you, but also targeting them, Yen Nyang said. Master, if you don't come back on time, there's nothing he can do. Okay. I got it. After getting the answer she wanted, Luo Qingtong stood up. I'm going back to the Saint Institute of the Empire of Qin right now. I'll see who dares to touch a hair on my people. I'll make Yuan Hu and the others pay back for all the grievances they suffered in the Saint Institute of the Empire of Qin. Luo Qingtong's eyes were cold. She wouldn't let anyone around her suffer for nothing. Yuan Hu and the others weren't qualified to be heaven-grade students. But among them, except for Ling Tianhan, almost all of them had just entered the school and could be admitted to the Great Qin Sacred Academy immediately. Just this point alone showed that their potential and qualifications were not inferior to the heaven-grade students of the Saint Institute of the Empire of Qin. The elders only looked at people with old-fashioned eyes. They only saw that Yuan Hu and the others' qualifications were not obvious at the moment. How could they see that they were hiding their strength? It was like a junior high student jumping to Peking University or Tsinghua University. How could you say that he was not as good as the top students of Peking University or Tsinghua University? It was ridiculous. There was also the first elder of the Holy Institute. He wanted her to return within 3 days and raise her strength by 1 level before he would acknowledge her leave. Otherwise, she and Yuan Hu would be kicked out of the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. This was clearly done on purpose. She didn't think that she would be able to make it back in time. Tomorrow, she would let them know what a true genius was. Heaven stage students from the Empire of Qin's Holy Academy? They were all *T. Did they really think that she cared about the resources and treatment of a heaven stage student? Luo Qingtong's voice was cold. After changing her clothes, she rushed out of the back door and rushed towards the saint capital of the Empire of Qin. At the same time, in the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin, Yuan Hu and the others were eventually kicked out by the Heavenly Palace. A group of people stood at the entrance of the Sky Hall's dormitory and were being pointed at by passers-by. Look, it's just a group of people. Other than that Su Xiaoxiao and Sima Zhu who have some talent, the others are trash who might not even be able to enter the Earth stage. I heard that there are 2 who might not even be able to enter the profound stage, but they shamelessly went through the back door and entered our heavenly palace. The most shameless one is their so-called boss, Luo Qingtong. Not only did she go through the back door, she even took an inch and wanted a mile. She took a few months of leave and still hasn't returned. Don't you think it's disgusting? A group of people pointed at Yuan Hu and the others, causing them to be furious. You're talking nonsense. Our boss is the most powerful. She didn't go through the back door. Little tyrant Yuan was the first to be unable to take it and shouted angrily, "You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."